Hey guys, Jay-Sensei here again. This is going to be what if Luffy had the Undead ability. This story is going to be called Luffy's Undead Odyssey. Now, there's two thumbnails for this. There's this one and this one. Comment which one you like below, and this one will be a thumbnail for the video. But I'm going to stick with this one for now. I just like it more. Now, in this what if, the story starts off with Luffy on the beach. He sells the straw hat, all of that, but this is before he meets Ace and Sabo. Or even the mountain bandits in general. He wandered around the beach, and he didn't eat the Gomu no Mi either. So, just a straw hat. So he looks around the beach, kind of just curious. Just kind of wondering what he should do for the day. And he found something that was a bit washed up. And he picked it up, and it kind of looked like a whistle. If you want to give a more apt description, it looked like an Aztec death whistle. And Luffy was being as careless as usual, saw it, shook water out of it, and blew into it as loud as possible. But no noise came out. Just a very soft voice that came out. And it was very smooth, kind of... If I were to compare it to anything, I'd compare it to Vivi's voice. And it was a soft voice that just said, Undead. Now, this whistle is the whistle of the Undead King. In the ancient kingdom, this was a tool that Imu wanted to use to survive, and Vivi, or Princess Lily, came in possession of it, so Imu couldn't. Over time, after Lily had been, deceased, it has gone from person to person, and now the government finally had their hands on it. But unluckily enough, the government got their hands on it while Shanks was passing through. He tried to destroy their ship, their artifact sank, and washed up on Fuchsia. So, as Luffy blew into the whistle, he would only hear the slight voice that just said, Undead. But Luffy, as soon as he put the whistle down, he threw up blood. He kept throwing up blood to the point where his body began drying up. The blood didn't hit the ground, it floated in the air, before whirling into the whistle, spinning it, creating the noise we know from a death whistle. And then, the whistle began to glow, bright red. Even begins ripping out Luffy's organs through his mouth. Until the whistle had a red miasma around it, reddish-black miasma. I compare it to the miasma you see in Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I was playing it while I was writing this story. That's where I got it from. So, Luffy would basically be dead until the whistle would force its way into his mouth after the miasma began to dissipate, and then the whistle began injecting all Luffy's body parts back into him. And he stood up, but doesn't remember what happened. He just felt like he passed out. He thought he was just dizzy. But the whistle embeds itself in his heart. The whistle, basically, Luffy has one death condition, being that if you're going to erase his body and somehow destroy the whistle, which the whistle is nearly as like, I would say probably as durable as sea stone. It's probably one of the harder materials in One Piece, so it would take probably Kaido level or above strength to erase Luffy from the face of this earth permanently. And even then, he'd basically be reset with the average body without regeneration. So all the whistle does is just make Luffy mortal again. His body will regenerate one final time, and then he's human again. Or he's already human, but he's undead. So he has one death condition. Pause real quick. Technically he has more than one death condition, but I'll go over that later. But Luffy's undeadness, so to say, it made him, he's still not even reckless as canon, but if not, probably more so than, probably more reckless than canon. If anything, Luffy doesn't get the extra durability of the Gomu Gomu no Mi, so if anything, he feels a lot more pain. So if anything, he has more sensitive pain tolerance, but even then, he'd adjust to it very quickly. Now, Luffy's constant exposure to death would also make him a bit more ruthless, as Luffy, at this point, is 7 years old. Being the original Ace and Sabo had probably brought him with the Blue Gem crew, to the point where probably had his life flash before his eyes over and over again before he's realized, oh yeah, I'm not going to die, this is going to hurt a lot. So if his life flashed before his eyes 24/7, probably bring him to the point where he's probably more like an actual pirate, yet not. Where Luffy has more understanding, some people need to die. He understands that. So he's someone who knows when people should die and when they shouldn't. He's a lot like Canonical Luffy, where he'll just crush your dreams. But in his opinion, certain characters are too evil to let the quick release of death take them. So breaking their will, their dreams, everything about them is the only way to defeat them. But as a kid, Luffy would quote-unquote die for his brothers, literally and metaphorically. Metaphorically, he would do so. Physically, he isn't dying, but he is getting shot in the head and stabbed a lot. Now, Blue Gems' crew gets chased away by Luffy, who's walking towards them at some point with just swords, poles, all that sticking out of his body. And, figuring a zombie, they ran away. Sabo's dad refuses to take Sabo back in because he fears the zombie boy chasing him. Very great from a fire, Luffy quite literally runs in, catching fire, like he's on fire, but saves people. Even Bleach does not care. He's in agony, but he doesn't care. And Kuma admires Luffy, seeing himself in him, as Luffy's obviously in pain. He's crying, all that. But he's more trying to reassure people they'll be fine, that they'll survive. Now, Dragon, before he walked away, actually gave Luffy a mysterious white paper, a Vero card. No, there's no name on it. Luffy doesn't know who it goes to, but he's assuming it's Dragon's, once he learns later who it belongs to. But Dragon's leader says, "We admire your grit and your gift. If you're ever in true danger, come find me. This will bring you to where all of us reside." Luffy quickly nodded as Dragon grabbed Luffy, tossing in the water. The flames go out, his body heals, but he's just naked now, which Dragon throws in his cloak, saying, "This is pretty durable, you'll be fine." Luffy nods, runs back into the flames, saving more and more people. Now, Sabo is alive, which does impact Luffy and Ace emotionally and intellectually. But also, Luffy and his brothers have a more established bond. I was wondering what that bond is. Luffy has been their shield their entire lives. There's nothing that they have experienced that Luffy has not already gone through for them. King of the Forest. Oh yeah, Scary Tiger. Luffy's been cut in half 4 times by it, so Ace and Sabo did not die. Or Blue Gems' crew. He has taken a gunshot to the head for Ace. With Sabo's dad, he has taken a gunshot to the head for Sabo. He has taken regular weapons to the chest for his brothers, and he'd do it in a heartbeat at any moment. So with Luffy being their shield their entire lives, they don't view Luffy as the older brother. Of course not. He's shorter than them by a lot. Actually, no, I'm changing his body a little bit later on, but they do establish that, physically they know they can keep with Luffy, but they do actually acknowledge the fact that they love Luffy more than they love their own lives. To the point where their love for Luffy transcends their thought of wanting to be captains. Like, if Luffy would ask them to do something, even if it was, I'm telling you right now how far their love for Luffy would go due to their emotional bond that's reestablished. Ace would abandon Whitebeard's crew for Luffy in a heartbeat. So Sabo Dragon would do the same thing. For their brother, they'd abandon anyone in a heartbeat. Because he's given up his life, literally, over and over again, just so they'd be safe. So, now, I'm going to talk about the changes. Now, to keep up with Luffy, who would evolve physically and rapidly, Ace Sabo had to learn various ways to fight before Ace got his Mary no Mi, or Sabo had to learn Fish and Karate. One thing, Ace learned arm hockey to get Luffy away from him. And yeah, it doesn't really affect Luffy, but it hits him harder for sure, and it knocks him out. He's not immune to being knocked out. It's a lot harder to do so, but he's not immune to it. And then Sabo learned observation hockey to help him basically evade Luffy, as Luffy also gained a bit of control over his blood as long as it's in his hands or in his body. So with this, he basically learned to kind of control his blood. Not like Choso from Jay-Sensei or anything like that, but think of a very low-tier Choso. That's kind of what Luffy is. It's a very low-grade Choso. Now, when Ace does leave to go start his own crew, known as Whitebeard Pirates, by the time we see Ace 2 years later, his bounty is 980 million. He's closing in on 1 billion. And Sabo himself is actually at 1 billion exactly. I mean, the fact that Sabo is also more of a threatening person. He knows advanced hockey in both forms. He doesn't have conquerors. And then Ace does have advanced conquerors. So, he doesn't have advanced observation. Let's continue going. Now, Luffy does have a new set of techniques due to his undead ability, being Red Flow. Basically being Gear 2, but with no drawbacks. In addition, his blood is burning hot at about 1500 degrees Fahrenheit. So if you were to cut him, or even break his nose, it was while he's in this form, your hand would be burned severely. Because no matter what, if you're like, oh yeah, I punched a hole through him, you are sticking your hand in beyond boiling liquids doing that. And it is not smart to hit Red Flow Luffy. Red Flow sounds like something else, I'm sorry. Blood Burst. Luffy would literally snap over his fingers, bite off his tongue, spit out teeth, something like that, and he would basically blast the blood out at a hypersonic rate for a split second, and that basically blast someone through walls. It's only it's like a momentary boost in speed, but it's still enough force to knock someone through walls, stuff like that. It's basically just shooting out a lot of blood at hypersonic speeds. And then Instant Restore is his ability to basically recover instantaneously from any kind of damage. Unkillable Shield, I think that's honestly self-explanatory. Elastic Corpse, where Luffy basically just dislocates his limbs and uses them as whips. Where he basically dislocates his arm, and then we can whip it out at a speed that's basically faster than even bullets can hit. So, yeah. Then Bone Missile, where he basically uses bodily control to blast out his bones like bullets or harpoons. It's basically where he'll move all the blood around. Like, he basically drain the blood from his hand and then fire it out, shooting out the bones from his hand, out of his skin, and it's basically a giant harpoon. So, yeah. Or you do the same with his arm entirely, which he just regrow the bones instantaneously. So, yeah. But here's where we get a possible, yet also kind of impossible deathcon for Luffy. Being that his belief in what immortal means is how he survives. Being that if he thinks, say he knows a billion ways for someone to die, he'd be immune to all those ways. But if there's 1,000,000,001 ways to die, that one way could kill him unless he survived for a split second, and in that split second, he'd heal. You have to kill him instantaneously. 0.01 seconds, not fast enough. Instantaneous death is what he needs. So, anything less than a trillionth of a second, or anything more than a trillionth of a second, would be too much time for Luffy to heal. So that's kind of saying how fast he heals. So yeah, but things like aging, poison, toxin, drowning, blades, guns, cannons, etc., those do not kill him. Amounts of them can probably wear him down, but they won't kill him. But his belief in undead can waver depending on how much pain he's in, because Army Hockey exposed him to a whole new level of pain, and he does not like people who use hockey, like Ace or Garth. And he doesn't like being hit by it. He doesn't mind their ability, he just like being hit by hockey. Now, Luffy's built all like Andy from Undead Unlocked in terms of muscularity and height, bringing him to about 6'2", or 189 centimeters, and 215 pounds, or 97 kilograms. So, he's pretty much ripped. On the thumbnail right here, you can see Andy. So, yeah. Now, with Alvida's crew, Luffy's undeadness scared them, so they ended up rowing as far away as possible after he had beaten up the majority of them. But they had thrown Kobe overboard because he fainted after seeing Luffy's head get cut off, and they thought Kobe had died, so they kind of threw him overboard. Luffy saw Kobe, dove in the water, grabbed him, carried him into his dinghy, and then ended up telling Kobe to Shellstown. And, well, Kobe kind of feels like he owes Luffy his life now, so, yeah. Now, when Zoro meets Luffy, they have their usual conversations, until it comes down to Zoro, like the panel, flashing Zoro blocking the sword strikes from the Marines. That does not happen. Instead, when that does happen, Luffy jumps in front of Zoro, or behind him, and all the blades hit Luffy's chest, and face and neck. Zoro realizes the blades aren't going through Luffy. They're stopping on his bones. And he smirked and said, his instant regeneration, especially on his bones, catch everything. Meaning that if a blade hits his bone, it heals instantaneously, and now the blade is stuck in his bone until Luffy himself would probably remove it, or someone physically stronger and yank out the blades. Luffy spun around, sending all the marines scattering everywhere, and Zoro jumped in the air, cutting them down with one-sword style. All not killing them, but using the blunt side of his blade to, or the sharp side of his blade, to take them all down. Well, they're not dead, but they're definitely injured. Now Zoro asked Luffy why he did that, and Luffy just said, "You're my friend and innocent. So even if we aren't, even if we aren't friends, I still have a reason to protect you. Or I simply don't need one if we're friends." And he kind of just smiled. And Zoro found instant respect for Luffy. He knows Luffy puts himself in danger because he knows he'll survive, but his ideology of being the front of the shield for his friends is something that Zoro admires. Alright, we see Luffy end up beating up Morgan. It was honestly just a pretty quick fight. Literally, Luffy just did one punch to his jaw and knocked it off. So that's the fight right then and there. Luffy is physically stronger and faster and more durable than Cannon. Like, his base durability already is insanely high. He just does not care. He'll let things go through him on purpose. Like, the blades are broken on his chest, he'll just let them go through him. Or into him, then his bones caught them. Or his collarbones and skull. Now, on the boat, Zoro does train with Luffy, since Luffy trains frequently due to him knowing his body virtually has no limits, and he's still a hyperactive person. So knowing he cannot get tired, at least it would take days for him to get tired, he trains 24/7, that's why his body is so evolved. So Zoro brings him to training, and he found someone who trains harder than he does. And Zoro doesn't do it because he needs to get stronger, Luffy does it because he's bored. So yeah, also Luffy does occasionally, like, just use his strength to punch the water, creating a shockwave, sending the boat flying a bit. Not like how Garp does his giant marine dust, Luffy cannot do that. But Dinghy can launch it a few hundred feet, definitely. So they travel like that, because Luffy's just physically pretty imposing still. In Orange Town. When Luffy saved Nami from the two pursuers, they do impale him for the chest twice, and she thinks, oh no, I just killed a guy. But to her shock, Luffy grabbed both men by the head and slammed their heads together, knocking them both out immediately. He also blades out his chest, twirls them around, and gives them to Zoro, asking him, "You want to use these instead of your usual blades?" Just so that they don't get worn down. Oda shrugs, yeah, why not? And he ended up putting away two blades, but keeping the Wado Ichimonji in his mouth. Now when Luffy faces Buggy, he doesn't care about his body being destroyed, but when Zoro has the whole thing get stabbed in the side, Luffy jumps in, taking that for Zoro. And Nami does see that, is actually very surprised that Luffy jump in to save Zoro. But when the Buggy Ball is fired, Luffy smirks and catches it in one hand. This does surprise Buggy a lot. But he would just smirk for crushing the Buggy Ball in his hand in point-blank range at everyone else. Buggy barely avoided it, but realized Luffy was unfazed. Not that he actually did get kind of destroyed, he just healed the moment it happened. The moment the blast went through him, his body came back. So he just heals instantaneously. Pause real quick. Alright. Now, Nami, after she sees Luffy do all this, is honestly very scared of him, but also thinks it's very interesting. But she sees Luffy jumping in, she protects Zoro from just random slash it. Even if Zoro could have dodged, Luffy jump in, hit the slash to the chest, knock out the attacker, go back to fighting Buggy. Now, as Luffy and Buggy fight, Buggy calls himself Buggy the Immortal, and Luffy calls himself the Undead Luffy. They clash, will call each other's nickname stupid, until Luffy just laughs, calling Buggy a fun guy. Luffy's never met anyone like him. He doesn't know Buggy's not immortal. He knows the concept of double first. He understands them. He's read it from Encyclopedia in the Gold Kingdom. But Luffy actually finds joy in Buggy's fight. Buggy, that's why he's having so much fun, and Luffy just says, I think we're similar. Buggy would halt for a second, and he just acknowledges that Luffy's a very strong opponent. Like, he knows Luffy's stronger than him. He's fighting to keep up the facade that he's strong. But as soon as hearing someone strong acknowledge him, Buggy just laughed. Now there's no time for Nami to escape with Buggy's loot, but Buggy's crew called it on, they thought they got defeated, but Buggy would tell Luffy, he's already tired, so he's just gonna accept the next hit with grace and leave. The next hit was an uppercut into almost a stratosphere. Buggy regretted taking the uppercut wholeheartedly, but he's glad he made a new friend. It's kind of a friendly rivalry between the two now. Now, next island when Luffy and Usopp meet, Usopp would see Luffy's personality, and Luffy does have a running joke where he actually just like be surprised, or actually would just snap his neck like a full 180. Usopp immediately screams in shock until Luffy's head turns back around, and Luffy begins laughing. And Usopp actually joins in, finding it hilarious. Now, Usopp is a superstitious coward, but he finds Luffy's very unpredictability funny, but his undead ability also radical, immediate, like rad. He loves it. For Kuro's entire thing is being fast and slashing. Luffy is faster and can either, one, let blades break in his body because he's that durable, let them get caught in his bones because his bones heal that fast, or let Kuro cut through him, let Kuro think he's dead, take him from behind and choke him out. One way or another, Kuro is not getting out of this fight. So with this, one of those three possible situations. Then Kuro was still face defeat, and then so did his crew. What else? Pause real quick. Okay. After Kuro, Usopp and Luffy actually start training together, as Luffy also does from Zoro. This Luffy talks to Usopp about, his bone missile ability, where he would fire out his bone to his body. At one point, they started shooting races, as Luffy would just fire out the bone in his fingertip as, a bullet. So Usopp and Luffy have shooting races, where Usopp even starts developing new slingshots to contend Luffy's rapid-fire slingshot abilities. Or slingshot, but bullet missile abilities. Now in the Brautier. Luffy did not blow a hole in the Brautier simply because he knows how cannons work and knows he doesn't know how to fire one. So Luffy's a bit smarter, just a lot more reckless. So they end up bonding because Luffy's wackiness is infectious to someone like Sanji. I'm wondering why. Luffy just has no regard for himself, but his ideology is what's infectious. Ideology to put everyone behind him as he is their shield. He takes all the pain they have. Sanji seeing that would kind of view Luffy kind of like Reiju, kind of. It didn't make things weird, but Reiju was the one who made Sanji's childhood bearable. Seeing someone who reminds him of her would probably strike him to join the crew. Whenever Sanji actually does agree to join, when Luffy would ask him. Now, when Krieg would announce later on that he's going to take over the Brautier, Luffy would use red flow in his arms, and Krieg sees this, wondering who Luffy is. But almost instantaneously, he's hit with a double fist. And then Krieg flying, his armor being shattered, and he would basically just crash into the water, being knocked out, and him being asleep in the water means he drowns. So, yeah. Now the fights go on, and Luffy is proceeding to show off why he is so strong. Zoro, Nami, and Usopp only see Luffy using his immortality. With Krieg's crew, they're all just fodder. He's literally showing off. He has proficient like skill in fighting. His kicks, his strikes, they're well placed, they're precise. Luffy also had evolved to fight Ace and Sabo. Ace learned armament hockey at like 15. That's a terrifying opponent to fight against when Luffy's only like 12. And Sabo also learned observation hockey. He had to learn precision and accuracy and speed. So, eventually the crew actually does see Luffy as more than just an undead monster, physically that is. He's an actual good martial artist. At least street fighter. But, eventually, Gin would also find Luffy infectious. Because, who wouldn't? Someone who will take all your physical pain for you when you live in one of the most dangerous professions in your world? Well, I joined too, fuck. Now, Zoro does fight Mihawk, and when it came to the final slash, Zoro's going to take to the chest, Luffy intervened immediately. His ideology will not allow Zoro to be cut. As Luffy was taking the slash, he recognized armor hockey. He knows what it is. Garp told Ace and Sabo about it when they unlocked it. He wasn't surprised that Luffy didn't unlock it. His willpower for fighting would not unlock hockey. It's a good one, but it would only motivate skill, not willpower. So Luffy can feel Mihawk's armor hockey and the Black Blade. Like, Luffy wasn't going to die by any means. Slash, he's immune. He's immortal towards slashes. This is just more pain he's ever took in his entire life, even from Garp. Like, Luffy's like the whole thing where you like inhaling rapidly when you eat hot food. Luffy's doing that because he's in that much pain. Like, it's healing just because, you know, it is, but Zoro actually demanded to know why Luffy did that. You know, talking about his honor, all that. Luffy turned around, slapping Zoro across the face. Yeah, he'd hurt his crew, because it'd be a comedic way, but now Zoro's kind of mocking Luffy's ideology and Luffy's opinion, so Zoro needs to be on the right path. And Luffy just says, saying, "To hell with your samurai, ronin, or whatever kind of honor you have. I'm your captain. I'll be damned if I let you get hurt. All the pain that faces you, I'll take it. You never need to get hurt as long as you are serving under me." And like Luffy flat out just said, Zoro's under him, but Zoro does not care. Luffy's ideology and words draw Zoro closer. And that even hardened Gin and Sanji's resolve to join him. Like, even Nami, she wanted to steal the Mary. No. Hopped off, helped up Zoro, all that. Luffy's words struck a chord in the Straw Hats. They didn't realize that Luffy is an honorable person, even if he's reckless and naive. His honor and ideology carried this crew. Now, when they end up getting to Kokuyashi, Zoro will not leave Luffy's side. And Zoro developed a whole new ideology for himself. Ideology that kind of regards Luffy as not a deity, but someone really high. Luffy believes Zoro and his crew should never get hurt. Zoro believes Luffy should never raise his fist to weaklings who are not worthy of Luffy's honorable fists. If Zoro goes up a fight before it happens for Luffy, he'll do it in a heartbeat. But he also will not leave Luffy's side unless he is told to. So. Now, with Arlong Park, we're supposed to realize Luffy showing a whole new ferocity to Arlong and Shriek. Any person gets in his way, Luffy will pick up and straight up just bang their back. Like, he is not letting them off easy. He will give them the most merciless attacks he has in his arsenal, like his elastic bones or elastic corpse. He'll literally swing it at their neck and shatter it mercilessly. And everyone's wondering why Luffy's personality is not happening, as they realize that Luffy, like, Arlong went in to bite Luffy. Luffy collarbone and stabbed it in Arlong's chin. Like, Arlong cannot bite anymore. They're wondering why Luffy's doing this, until Zoro would be the one to chime in, saying, the fact he cannot take Nami's emotional turmoil, he's furious. He wants Arlong's head. And by the end of the fight, he gets Arlong's head. And he turns it into Momu's lunch. Now, by the end of the arc, Johnny Yosuke also found Luffy infectious, but also Zoro's unwavering loyalty to Luffy. Like when Luffy's laying down, Zoro just sat at the edge of his bed, waiting for him to fall asleep. Like, Zoro will not sleep unless he knows Luffy is for sure asleep, safe, good dreams, all that. Like, Zoro is basically every kind of support Luffy would need. When Yosuke seeing that, would join up as well. Kokuyashi, they're honestly glad that someone actually killed Arlong, and they understand why Luffy's anger was justified. Even Gen, the village elder, kind of, even though he felt the same rage Luffy does, and he just wasn't strong enough to enact that rage. And Nami hearing that kind of made her realize that Gen, who was like her father, felt the same rage as Luffy. Luffy felt the same rage a parent would have at their child being hurt. You know, like, Luffy's 17 and Nami's 18. He is younger than her. But even then, it feels like he needs to take care of her. Now, Logtown. In Logtown, Luffy and Buggy reunite, and they're kind of having a fight all over town, just having fun. Luffy's obviously holding back because he knows how strong Buggy is, and Buggy's going all out, even though he knows Luffy will not go all out against him. And by the way, I would watch this, well, actually, these two beings go around, kind of viewing it, being Luffy like a deity of some sort. And Smoker's honestly pissed off that he cannot bind Luffy or Buggy. He can bind Luffy, only for Luffy to literally rip off his lower body and escape. Or literally grab his head, throw it, and then his body is just limp, while Buggy carries off Luffy's head. So, yeah, Smoker kind of just realizes, like, yeah, this is not going to be possible to catch either of them. So, yeah. Now, for the first bounty, Luffy's first bounty, 60 million, easily. He murdered Arlong. I find that reasonable. Also, Krieg. he didn't kill him, he knocked him out, and Krieg fell in the water, but Krieg drowned, so, yeah. He technically killed 2 pirates that were all pretty high ranking in the East. Plus, he's friends with Buggy, so that's also a high ranking pirate in the East. Now, Johnny and Yosuke have joined the crew, and they're actually training with Luffy and Zoro. Whenever Luffy's like, alright, I'm hungry, I'm gonna go eat, Zoro looks at Johnny and Yosuke and say, alright, you two, blades up, training continues. And he's basically training them to also be Luffy's guards, and they'll gladly do so. Also, you guys wondering where Luffy sleeps, just because it's beer and attacking the crew is a lot bigger than canon. Once like Johnny Yosuke joined the crew, he gave them his bed, and he sleeps on the deck because the elements don't affect him. Freezing to death is not a concept he has. So like, oh yeah, a bit of rain, he won't care. He's never really been in a snowstorm. So, he's not sure about how that weather will work on him, but he thinks he'd be immune to it. Which he is at a base level. But the bounties, again. Luffy, 60 million, and Gin within the crew, that brings him to 22 million. So, Luffy and Gin have the first 2 bounties in the crew. And with Laboon. Luffy and Laboon still fight, but they actually even fight underwater. Just because the resistance will not really stop Luffy. He is faster and much stronger. Excuse me. So, Laboon sees Luffy as basically his best friend, for the reason being, someone cannot, like, Luffy's someone who will not give up and cannot give up no matter how hard life hits them, and Luffy in fact will punch back at life with as much force as he can muster. And Laboon does the same thing. He views Luffy as someone who's like him, but with a different purpose. So with that, they're best friends. Alright. On Whiskey Peak. Again, Zoro were the ones who fought the bounty hunters, and Johnny and Yosuke. They didn't really fight the same amount of numbers as Gin and Zoro. Mr. Miss Valentine gets slammed by Gin and Luffy. While Zoro was just, like, doing his own thing, but against other characters. But before the whole Mr. 5, Miss Valentine thing, we do have the thing where Luffy and Luffy finds Zoro and Gin. Gin was ready to fight because he saw Luffy was mad at the meeting of the villagers. But Luffy was not willing to fight Zoro, because Zoro sat down, put his blades down, and he didn't bow, but he lowered his head slightly as he sat down. He told Luffy everything, and Luffy, it's up to him to believe him or not. Gin said the same story, Johnny Yosuke backed it up, and Luffy nodded, helping Zoro to his feet, and then they did their thing. But, yeah, Luffy and Zoro slammed Gin, Luffy and Gin slammed Mr. 5, Miss Valentine, and then Zoro just robs the town of Sake, so, yeah. Little Garden is similar, but when it comes down to Mr. 3 and Mr. 3, waxing / freezing Zoro, Nami, and Vivi, Zoro was ready to get off his own feet until he saw Tonfa fly in the back of Mr. 3's head, which knocked him out right then and there. The wax stopped, and Gideon literally just said, he grabbed like a branch, twirled it around, created a small torch, and then immediately just began muzzling the wax on their bodies so they could walk out. Miss Golden Week, Johnny and Yosuke caught her. They just picked her up and just like hung her on a tree branch and walked away. So she never really had her hands. She didn't really got her hand / brush on Luffy. When it comes to Miss Valentine's rematch, Luffy literally just like saw him like, oh, bomb guy, and just back fisted him into the ocean by accident. And Luffy even wanted to kill him. He's like, oh shit, is he drowning? They're just not in unison. And Mikita, Miss Valentine, I bit my tongue. She was a bit hesitant, but Gin kind of just neck chopped her, and that was the end of the fight. Next up, Drum Island. Now, Luffy's felt cold weather. Drum Island is a whole new level of unprecedented coldness. So, Luffy here is not like dying, but when he does bring Nami and Sanji, even Zoro here, because Zoro does not leave Luffy's side, he brings them all to Kureha and Chopper. Now, Zoro originally was fine, but it is shown that he's developing frostbite. Luffy visibly has it, though, because he doesn't really wear shirts. Because he also doesn't like appearing naked, So if he's half naked, he kind of just assumes people will get used to it. So staying naked is kind of just his way of preserving clothes and saving money. Or is wearing very open shirts. So, yeah. But when Luffy would get Nami, Sanji, and Zoro to Kureha, Crayon Chopper would basically realize that Luffy has more severe frostbite, but he just says, take them, I don't care what happens to me. He's the other side of the cold, and basically in slowly inhaling and exhaling, before the frostbite begins going away, and his body would adjust to this level of cold. When he walks inside Crayon Chopper, you see Luffy's body is fully healed now, and they're surprised. But Crayon, since it's the devil fruit thing, Luffy says he hasn't eaten a devil fruit, so... Yeah. The Crayon Chopper would examine Luffy. Luffy's sitting he's sitting on an operation table, just eating eating cotton candy, talking to Chopper. As Crayon would examine his innards, like she cut him open with a scalpel, all that. She's examining his body. She even would cut open let's say an organ, and it healed immediately. So yeah. Now eventually we go on to them leaving, and then it comes to Wapol. Luffy and Wapol engage in a fight. And then he's being got a bit too close to Wapol, and Wapol would bite Luffy in half. When Wapol would swallow Luffy, the crew is honestly more fearful for Wapol than they know Luffy's inside of him, like alive and inside of him. But suddenly, they see Wapol's body heating up, like he's glowing red. He begins coughing up blood, only for his entire upper body to go boom. Luffy climb out of what used to be Wapol, and he asks, like, is he actually, like, is he in pieces? They'll nod, like share a collective nod. And they asked him how he did that, and he says, I didn't even mean to blow him up, I kind of just mean accelerating my body, hoping that my lower body would run at Wapol, kick him, and spit me out. I kind of didn't realize his body was not durable enough to keep up with my blood flowing through his body that fast, because his blood got wrapped up in Wapol's, so the acceleration kind of just combined. So yeah, they ended up killing Wapol. Dead. Pop. Okay. Now, as they're leaving, Luffy finds setting a fruit on a tree, and it's the Baku Baku no Mi. When they're taking it, he asks the crew if they want to eat it. They ask him he wants to eat it, and he says no. He kind of likes exploring the bottom of the ocean, as he actually did adjust to being crushed by certain pressures. So they kind of say, you can just hang on to the fruit. So yeah. But they have the fruit. It's kind of just in Luffy's room. He doesn't have a room. He has a tent on deck, and he kind of just keeps the fruit there. It normally goes into his tent because it constantly smells like blood or just dirty laundry. So yeah. He goes through a lot of pairs of pants. So yeah, his unhygienicness covers up the devil fruit. Now, Luffy killing a king, his bounty is absurdly high. Like, unhealthily high. Now, for a second bounty. Second bounty is 125 million. He killed someone who has attended a reverie before. He killed a king. 125 million seems fair to me. Alright. Now in Alabasta. We meet Bone Clay. Bone Clay turns to Nami, turns to, flash people. But when that Bone Clay turned in, that he literally hugged Bone Clay, just told everyone to look away. Zoro had already put his blades in people's eyes, trying to do the same thing, but they all close their own. So no one saw Nami's body. Well, Luffy did. He's hugging it, but he simply does not care. Now, Nami is definitely embarrassed, and she does thank Luffy, but yeah. But Bone Clay tries to, make light of the situation. Nami feels still a bit emotionally vulnerable and physically vulnerable. And to give retribution to your crewmates, he pulls an Ollie Wang for Samuel around round 1, grabs Bone Clay by the hair, and just wails on him. Bone Clay gives up after Robin intervened. Or she gives up, and then Bone Clay gives up, then Robin arrives and intervenes. So, yeah. All the is the same until Crocodile round 1. Now, as they fight, Crocodile starts to drain Luffy's arm, only for his body to actually his arm just goes like normal, but also much buffer. It's just because his body can do whatever it wants. There's really no laws of physics on his body. Well, not laws of physics, but laws of nature. So, as in fighting, eventually Luffy is going to be able to his stomach and just realize he can't hit Crocodile. And he thinks it's because of Smoker. Smoker's just always on guard, ready for a fight. Not the whole, like, I can turn this hand off reflex. Smoker's not evolved yet, at least from what we know. So Luffy thinks that, he just needs to get Crocodile off guard to hit him. So Crocodile has Luffy impaled. Luffy has blood coming from his mouth, all of that. But then he would start body of his tongue and spraying blood all over Crocodile's face. Well, Crocodile falls back, trying to get blood off his face, only to be met with a very strong roundhouse kick to the chin. And Luffy has his plan on right until Robin would ask him, "How'd you know that liquids hurt him?" He says, "That's what let me hit him." Cool. He thumbs up, and Robin realized he kind of just did whatever he thought he should. He didn't have a plan. He just did what he thought off the top of his head. Which he did have a plan, it just was not the correct one. So yeah. Crocodile was knocked out because a roundhouse kick to the jaw from Luffy, who has strength contending nearly every version of Luffy we see so far, aside from like current manga, is scary. So yeah. So with this, Robin does realize Crocodile is now defeated, and Luffy is aware that there's Marines on the island, or at least Robin is. So she will convince Luffy to turn into Crocodile, and then she tells, she basically, when you meet up with the Straw Hats, now Crocodile is detained. Also covered in a lot of blood for 24/7 by Luffy. But they eventually all reach the conclusion that Robin will basically give them all the information she has for Crocodile, and in exchange, she'll get a pony lift, like to read one. And Vivi doesn't ask about her dad, but Robin says that she kind of thought that she assumed that came par with the deal. Which is surprised Vivi that Robin was that open about, her dad. But, yeah. Eventually, Vivi's dad, Cobra, is freed. Luffy would hand Crocodile over to Smoker and Hina. And with the bomb, Luffy immediately just picks it up. He finds it, picks it up, and then he just carries it outside of Alabasta, crushing it, and then it blows up on him. And he just flat out thinks he has immunity to all bombs, so he's undead, but he just brought him back immediately. So, yeah. Alright, so here we go. Walk back in Alabasta, stark naked, gets clothes from Ace, and Ace kind of up to have a carrying clothes on hand for Luffy. Now, this is for someone obviously bigger than him, being Luffy, but still, it's kind of a habit he developed as a kid, especially now that he was around Luffy, to the point where he bought clothes for Luffy. So, Luffy gets close from Ace, thanks him, and eventually Ace will go their own way. But as Baroque works is trying to hide from the Marines, Luffy does have an idea. As his predictiveness kind of extends even to his enemies. He wants them to, be safe and happy. Not safe and happy, but he doesn't want pirates being arrested, as he does think that most pirates are living out their dreams. What if she would ask them, why don't you just come work for me instead of being arrested? This led to Robin, Bentham / Bone Clay, Sala / Mr. Saltfinger, Galdino / Mr. 3, Marianne / Golden Week, Miss Valentine / Nikita, and Lasso, the dog cannon thing, all join Luffy's crew. I was wondering why I gave him so many crew members. Why not? The man likes protecting people. He wouldn't care. The more people to protect, the better in his opinion. Now, and the rest of the crew of Brokeworks just literally took cash and fled or got arrested. Like Daz Bones, he disagreed, but he didn't understand why his crew took that option. So, yeah. Mr. 4 didn't want his dog back, as his dog is Lasso, the cannon dog. But instead, she was actually given, offered a job by Cobra for the guards, and she was also given, he was also given a new bat. So, education, a job, new bat, Mr. 4 is happy. Plus, he has, the intelligence of, an actual child, so I think an education would be good for him, and I feel bad, so, yeah. Pause. Alright, but now you go on to Luffy's. So, who's Luffy crew consist of? It's himself, Zoro, Nami, Usopp, Sanji, Gin, Johnny, Yosaku, Chopper, Robin, Zala, Bentham, Galdino, Marianne, Mikita, and Lasso. So, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 16 people. But, yeah, let's keep going. Luffy's new bounty is 290 million. I was wondering, why did it go up so high? Smoker gave a story about Luffy tearing himself in half to get out of his smoke at Log Town. Luffy's new title is Unkillable Straw Hat Luffy, or Fushushin Mugiwara no Luffy. And they kind of seem like he's actually unkillable. A few people do think Smoker is exaggerating, like not few, most people do. But Garp, knowing Luffy is, already can tell Smoker is not. He's just shaken up by it. So Luffy's new bounty, 290 million. Plus, really no other fights happened, so no one got a bounty here. Other bounties are going to be Water 7. That's going to be the first bounties get introduced. But what else? Oh yeah, Jaya. Luffy and the crew do meet Mashra and Shoujo when they're exploring the wreckage of the St. Brice, but they actually realize that Luffy's walking on like the bottom of the ocean just happily, like not even holding his breath. He can't drown. He knows he can't. He just breathes underwater. He just can't talk. So yeah. But on Jaya. When Luffy finds stock Q, he eats the apple, thinks it's tasty, so I grab some basket and just I would say chugging, but they're not drinks, so just scarfing down apples. But even when one blown up, like blew up in his mouth, he just yelled "Umai!" Like he pulled a Rengoku going "Umai!" through each apple, even with the blew up in his mouth. Not getting stronger, they really just looked at Luffy in shock. And kind of horror, they never thought they'd be covered in this much blood, and kind of just walked away, horrified. In the bar, Luffy and Teach have an argument over apple pie, not apple pie, cherry pie. And Luffy would actually yell at Teach, saying, maybe my tongue is broken. And so everyone in shock, he just flat out, just ripped out his entire tongue, grows a new one, then he took another bite of cherry pie and said, no, it still tastes like shit. Your tongue's broken. I have a whole new one, new taste buds. Your taste buds are just bad. Teach just held the hands up saying, yep, can't argue. I'm leaving. Bye. And just walks out. Pause. Okay. Now, when Bellamy later on tries to slam Luffy's head through a table, or tries to, you immediately grab his hand before it reaches Luffy's head. And when Bellamy tries to, get his legs, just try to jump up using his springs, Galdino had already coated his legs in wax. Bellamy was panicking because he could not move. But Sarkis tried to get up, only for Bone Clay and a suit would just appear next to him and punch him across the jaw, knocking him out right then and there. And Luffy's just eating peacefully. He knows what's happening. He just does not care. So, yeah. Now, yeah, Bellamy's crew is just long so short they get humbled. Later on, while Luffy and the crew were with Cricket, Bellamy's crew tried to find Luffy, spin back, all that. Zoro would just be here waiting. And he already knew what happened, and he was mad because this is one time Luffy told him, hey, take a break, take a nap. One time he did that, people have stepped in to defend Luffy for him. When Bellamy's crew tried to spin back, Zoro was waiting. So he would hunt them, but Luffy is like 10 feet away from him, he can't abandon him. So Zoro would hop to his feet, three-sword style, takes out Bellamy's entire crew. Not killing Bellamy, but he's down for the count. Now, later on, for a Warlord meeting, Mihawk actually arrived at this meeting, not because, as he felt obligated to, he needed to discuss Luffy. So, in the meeting room, Sengoku, Kuma, Mihawk, and Doflamingo are all talking, and they come to the conclusion that Luffy's healing is not a devil fruit, since it's kind of granted that Mihawk had used Haki and Blackblade to cut Luffy, and he didn't seem to be slowed down by at all. This theory further actually increased Luffy's bounty to 315 million. It is mere mortality, why is bounty that high? Now, on Skypiea. This arc is pretty normal until it comes down to fighting in Nell and Co. Now, Shura, the one guy, actually damaged Mary a lot in this arc. When Shura tried to attack the Oi Mary, Lasu, the dog, just barked and nailed Shura in the face with a cannonball. And that actually had knocked him out. Even when he tried to get back up, Chopper really just go like hybrid and pound his face into the clouds. So, yeah. The Mary is actually in much better condition. They're trying to actually get greater numbers, and they're all strong and relative to their internal power. They're all relative, aside from like maybe Nami, but even then, her contact brings her up to that level. Even Usopp is a pretty relative character because his shooting speed with his slingshot much accurate, much faster. He has confidence in his ability on a point where he's actually an avid fighter. Like there's no coward trio. There is literally just crew, which are all relative in their own way, aside from maybe Luffy, who stands above them all in terms of power. So Luffy's immortality is the only reason he's not relative to his crew, is just the fact he's physically a much more dominant person. Yeah, the crew's basically all relative because of that. So yeah. Now they actually are all paired up for each opponent, like they're all in groups of 2 or 3. So when Luffy has to fight Viper, he himself is the only one who's alone. He encouraged it. So he has to fight Viper. Viper's using bombs, dials, all that. He can turn his projectile to Luffy's face. But this way, Luffy's reaction speed is faster than sound, even at point-blank range. So he pretty easily avoided Viper, put him in a one-arm chokehold, and held him in place till he passed out. Like, Luffy is 6'2" and jacked. So yeah, Viper stood no chance. Even if he could fly, Luffy's physical strength just holding Viper down. So yeah, but he's faster, stronger, and every kind of immortal. The Serpent, when it tried to eat Luffy, he literally spun around and then back kicked it, or just like get a swing back kick and knocked it through the woods. That ends the Serpent's involvement in this arc already, right then and there. So that's the backstory for Nolan and well, whatever Kagura, I believe. Yeah. Zoro and Zala to Section Ohm. Zala is Miss Oldfinger, the girl with the spike double for the one that Nami fought in Alabasta. So those who fight Ohm, and literally Zala would just impale him through the foot, hold him in place, and then Zoro would just walk out to him, deck him across the face, and that ends the fight. And that was just that quickly. And so I was like, oh, bad guy. Hold him down. Zoro just keeps walking, just punches him across the face as they walk, and then keep going. That ends the fight. By the time Luffy reached Enel, every Straw Hat was already there. They're just waiting for Luffy. They even told Enel, we're not going to run fight without our captain. As they already know, they can be mad at them for fighting without him if they get hurt. So this ain't no fighting Enel. And when King Sanji's whole thing of being like, I needed a light. Luffy gets hit by Enel's lightning instead, and Luffy will hold back his flaming head for Sanji. Sanji will light a cigarette, put it in his mouth, and nod as the fight goes on. Sanji would also kind of pat out Luffy's head real quick, but yeah. But continue, and Luffy's reacting fast enough actually jump in the way of Enel's attacks, and seemingly unfazed. Because while flashback, Luffy was hit by lightning as a kid. Sabo kind of intrigued by it and hung up Luffy on a post with their poles, and Luffy was slowly hit by lightning over and over again. It was a sick thing. Well, kind of sick and bad. The good, sick, and good. Good, sick, and good. Or good, sick, and bad, sick. But Luffy already knows lightning won't kill him. It actually doesn't really hurt him anymore. Gun just tingles a little bit. At one point, Enel even he used a full-on Raigo. But Luffy would jump up, grab the Raigo, and actually begin pushing it back. Like he's full-on grasping lightning and pushing it. That's because Enel's thing is actually a giant ball of lightning, and Luffy's body's regrowing, so even though his body was in it, it should disintegrate. It won't. So Luffy's body is actually able to actually react and grab the ball of Raigo, and throws it back at Enel. Now Enel is hit by it, actually does a bit of damage, but he was honestly not expecting this, and he doesn't know how to bypass lightning. To hit him, he's a bit staggered, and then, when he sees the smoke clearing, he's met with a flying knee from Luffy. As he goes on flying, Luffy ends up grabbing his staff and beats him over the head with it, full force. And all everyone hears is a sickening pop. He paints his all his hand, blowing on them as the bones are slowly regrowing. With this, Enel's fight is over. And as I start to leave, Gon falls, and they actually see the whole pillar flying pointing towards them. They're all ready ready to escape until Gon falls, yells like, "Straw Hats, wait! We bring gifts." Like, oh, gifts? Is it canon a gift? Until they hear like, no, it's not. It's not canon. It's a giant gold pillar. Like, oh shit, cool, gold. Gon falls, she bestows upon them Enel's devil fruit, the Goro Goro no Mi, giving Luffy the possession of the Baku Baku no Mi and the Goro Goro no Mi. Now, everyone thought Luffy should eat this fruit because it's a strong one. And he actually offered the fruit to Nami, saying, I know next to nothing about the devil fruit, so you take it. Because I don't either. I'm not a devil fruit user. Like, but you know whether. Yami's face drops, saying, hey, fair point. She doesn't like eat off that. She takes a few hours to contemplate it, but she eats it after like without thinking about it. Plus, Luffy just said that they can melt on the gold and buy her good floaties. So, so Nami ate the Goro no Mi. And at the pillar, Nami actually practiced her lightning on that by actually heating up the pillar and melting it for themselves, so they don't have to pay to have it melted. All the gold they have too. And after a bit of counting and measuring how much the gold weighed, all that, everything they needed to, he came out with the conclusion they had about 60 billion berries worth of gold. So, 60 billion 500,000 yen, or berries, which is about 406 million US dollars. So, yeah, that's a lot of money. Like, higher than any bounty he ever registered. Like, Knight Rats in total are worth a fraction of that. Well, Luffy is worth a lot, but still. Now, before they leave, they should do realize this ship is crowded. The Mary is meant to fit, like, East Blue and Alabasta. That is 7 people. Let me count. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and a dog. 15 people and a dog. Yeah, the ship is crowded. Definitely. Like, Luffy sleeps in a tent on deck to make room. Which he already does before they're crowded, but, yeah. So with this, actually decided, like, we need a bigger boat. And then Luffy talks about the Maxim and how I now use Raigo for the Maxim and realize, take that. It's an arc, but also it runs off a devil fruit. Nami can train her devil fruit in the Maxim safely. They all come to the same conclusion, and then they swing the Mary in the Maxim, and they use the Maxim to get down to Water 7. Now, they didn't want to sacrifice the Mary, so like, they were told, like, yeah, like, even Water, like, Galileo told them, like, well, one, the Maxim is a work of art, but also, yeah, the Mary, it can sail like Sabaody, but there's something you want to get in the New World, like going to the depths, like, even with the coating, the Mary cannot survive the depths. You can sail on the surface, okay. You guys cannot get into the New World with the ship. Simple as that. You cannot do it. They realize that they want to become pirates. They cannot use the Mary. And it's simple as that. Their journey will stop halfway through if they stick with the Mary. And Usopp was told that flat out, like, you will stop all of our dreams if you want the ship. But Luffy had another idea of, why don't we just put the Mary's head on the front of the ship and call the Maxim, like, the Maximum Mary. Why not that? All of us just not in agreement. It's like, actually, yeah, good idea. I appreciate it. So be at the beginning of getting the Mary. Or the Maximum Mary. Now, guy already knew this job was going to be a bitch and a half, even if they're getting paid, like, well, around 500 million berries, if not maybe billions of berries. So she ended up calling up Frankie. Iceberg did. Frankie got her assigned to the job, he was recent Adam shipment, all that. He's like, if the ship is big as you tell me, and it's a unique build to the point where it runs off the devil fruit, I will do the job free of charge. This is a whole new ship, all that. So Frankie runs to go see what kind of like work of art this is. And Frankie Manning trails behind him because shit that runs off the devil fruit, he's never seen that. So he's eagerly trying to see it. Pause quick. Okay. So Frankie and Frankie run over to the Maximum, and began working on it. As Frankie doing this free of charge, the Maximum is a work of art. He wants to see it. Now, CP9 tries to, like, manipulate Robin, and as they're, like, walking by her, Luffy would appear in front of her, grabbing one of the members of CP9 by the shoulder, kind of like squeezing their shoulder, holding them in place. And he just says, I felt something was off. I was right. Luffy thought best, like, just get him out of the way, he's captain, all that. He turned around and would jab his finger into Luffy's throat, only for Luffy's throat to heal immediately and close Luffy's finger in it. Luffy would smirk, still talking somehow, and just say, I don't know what you think unkillable means in my name, but I'm that and 1,000 times more. Lucci then had his arm grabbed at Luffy, and Luffy would simply just break it right then and there. He breaks Lucci's arm. Lucci jumped back, only to be met with right hook to the liver, and then a kid then kicked the chest of him flying through a building, which actually took Lucci out of the fight right then and there. Lucci can even tell right here and now, Luffy's the physically most dominant person he's ever met in his life. His physical strength is off the charts, especially when he's mad, like he's with Robin right now. They should be fighting CP9 by himself, even telling Robin to step off. But Zoro realized Luffy disappeared under his watch, and he had found him. He jumped in with Bon Clay by his side. Bon Clay still wearing his usual pink suit with a face full of makeup. They jump in, and they end up tag teaming CP9 with Luffy. They ever see able to beat Khalifa, Kaku, and Lucci, who are only here right now? Jabra and the other CP9 on the island, Blue Nose at his bar. But yeah, eventually led to CP9 being revealed, then having to retreat, Blue Nose bar closes down, all that. But I swear it saw everything, she wouldn't care, and he says, honestly, once he was concerned, he just ran because he didn't have enough money. He says, I'm short in cash? No way, not at this point in life. Like, they have $440 million. They're going to be short in cash. Pause real quick. All right. By the end of the ship's construction, and it's basically combining the Sunny, the Mary, and the Maxim. And they call it, the Maxima Mary, basically. That's what they call it, the Maxima Mary. And it runs off cola, blood, at Luffy's suggestion, or lightning. So they usually use lightning. So now, of course, I wonder at the size of the ship. The Mary and Sunny combined is roughly about 115-ish meters, I believe. One of the proportions in my head, that could be 150 meters, or I think they're over 300 feet. Like, probably around the 450-ish range, I believe. Probably off, but I don't care. Excuse me. But due to the ship's proportions, also the Maxim being an actual arc, like an arc that is, like, the arc is probably over 500 feet alone itself. I'd probably give the ship probably the size of an actual, like, cargo ship, like a container ship. So I'd probably say that's probably how big the ship is. I was wondering, oh, wow, the ship be so big. Why the fuck not? It's fun. Plus, they have like one of the biggest ships in the series. It runs off blood, cola, and lightning. It's a badass ship. Plus, the ship actually would function to help Nami make a Raigo, which probably should be bigger than Enel's Raigo. Keep in mind, Enel's Raigo wiped an entire Sky Island off the map. Luffy can now do that with Nami can do that with an actual island now. She has no control over Devil Fruit. Cool. The ship helps her make the Raigo. She's not going to do it on her own. We can fire off a Raigo that can evaporate an entire island on her own. The ship alone makes the crew above island level in one shot, and even then, also runs off blood. So that also would just create attack room for them. So, yeah. Now, eventually CP9 would end up coming back with all their forces because Enies Lobby told just deemed that their defeat was an attack on Enies Lobby. In the middle of the night, the Strats are all attacked by the Cypher Pole Agency 1 through 9. But also Omo and Kashi. They don't bring all their forces, but they bring the most powerful forces. Excuse me. They attack in the middle of the night, but they're actually caught by their trusty Dachshund Lasso. The Strats Dachshund Lasso. He's a cannon with a Dachshund Devil Fruit. But Lasu had basically smelled demons go ahead in the air, but also smelled Lucci, who they deem a threat. With this, Lasu ended up barking and howling, and the fact that the majority of the crew was actually asleep on the deck, because they were all helping work on the ship in some way to add in their own designs, what they want. They all woke up hearing Lasu's barking. Nami saw what's happening, ran downstairs, and began throwing lightning into the Maxim, creating a Raigo off the bat. And the Raigo actually be launched at the ship, and it doesn't miss, but it isn't really exactly accurate. It hits like 5 ships, and it did take out a decent amount of Cypher. It's got to take out Cypher Pole 1 through 4. So 5 through 9 are still there, but yeah. But the attack began, and honestly, it was not a pretty thing. Lucci beat Luffy again, or not Lucci, Luffy beat Lucci again. And even if Lucci went all out, Luffy still physically, he's faster, he's stronger. Everything that Lucci has, Luffy is just stronger. No matter what Lucci does, Luffy will either heal or otherwise surpass him. Lucci stands no chance. Khalifa would fight Zala, and in a hand combat fight, Zala mopped Nami. I don't have confidence that like Zala could probably be Khalifa, who still isn't mastering her double fruit. Zala likely had her double fruit for not decades, but a few years prior. So I'd say at least 4 years for Zala having more experience in double fruit to the point where she probably handily beat Khalifa in a matter of seconds. Well, not seconds, like 5 minutes tops. But I say Khalifa tries to with her bubbles, slides towards Khalifa. Or not slides towards Khalifa, she's bubbles, slides towards Zala. Now they shoot out a spike from her shoulder and jab it in Khalifa's chest. Like, Khalifa's not ready for the smoke that Zala will give her. So Zala pretty handily kills Khalifa right then and there, kills her. Or at least paralyzes her, one of the two. Paralyzed, let's say that. Now, Kaku lost to Zoro the fact that Zoro fought Kaku before when he helped Luffy. Kaku didn't have a double at the time, he only had his legs. Zoro was anticipating his legs and, you know, his arm. He probably didn't bring his sword, he brought his legs. So, in fact, the Zoro is already a better sword than Kaku, two-sword style, regardless. Four-sword style, cool. Zoro knows the leg attacks, Kaku names them. So, Zoro knows the arsenal, is more skilled. Kaku got his double fruit an hour ago. Zoro beat him in a matter of like 2 minutes. It wasn't a hard fight for Zoro. So the strides are all a lot stronger than canon. They all train as a group. You don't know why. Luffy has so much energy that he needs to get out to sleep, and that is training. The crew joins him in that. Very especially Zoro, who will try to turn on Luffy until one of them collapses. Now, Jabra had lost to the dynamic duo, being Bon Clay and Sanji. Bon Clay would wear basically just a suit and then ballet slippers. But that doesn't matter, because he still hits like a freight train with Sanji by his side. And the rivalry is like a more, like, their rivalry is more fierce than Zoro and Sanji's, but even then they work as a better combined unit. And they even know that at the point where they're like, we want to fight both of us at once? Do you want to die? You said it, do you want to die? You say that. So, yeah, even though their rivalry is more intense, they already know they're probably the best duo on the crew. What else? Blue Knight fought Johnny Yosuke, but literally, it was a hard fight. But when he tried to open the door, they both had just ducked and shoved their swords into the hole, and they actually killed Blue Knight. They both just kind of dual impaled him. So they actually killed Blue Knight off just a reflex. It was a hard fight, but they did it. Kumidori fight Chopper and Lasu, and it was a pretty intense fight. But then Lasu ends up blasting a cannonball right into Kumidori's knee, shattering it. Kumidori falls over, Chopper then meets him with a cloven cross to the skull, knocking him out. So at the end of this fight, the only one who dies is Bluno, yeah. Well, and those 4 agencies that Nami killed. But, yeah. But Fukuro was jumped by literally Frankie, the Frankie family, and Galilei Law. Said no chance. And when Kashi really just talked down by Usopp. So, yeah. As thank you for helping, Frankie is offered the Baku Baku no Mi, and he is hesitant. But Chopper told him like, you know, what the fruit could do, because he knew what Wapol could do. He's like, oh yeah, if you eat the fruit, you can kind of just eat more things, spit them out as like a whole new material, an element. Really, all of the Galilei Law and Frankie family and Frankie were all fighting. Even Iceberg joined the fight over the fruit. Frankie ultimately won, getting the fruit from Chopper's hands and scarfed it down. He didn't care that he was like, oh, what about making no really swim? Frankie just says, to hell with swimming, I will make a boat the size of this island in a matter of days. That's an exaggeration, but the man has the ultimate construction fruit. So, yeah. The point where actually kind of dismantled a portion of the new Maximum Mary and made it bigger to the size of a cargo ship. Like, he made it, like, say 800 feet first try. He dismantles it on the high of the fruit, remantles it in a matter of, like, few hours. Now over 1,000 feet. The point where he made a whole new, like, atom wood. Like, he made atom wood a little bit more durable and the most permeant wood. Like, it cannot... It was like, let's say it takes 200 years to rot. Frankie's new atom wood, like the Frankie wood, will take 2,000. So, yeah, like 200 years to 2,000 years to rot. The ship will last forever. Like, the only person it will not outlast is Luffy. So, yeah. Now, Kuzan, Garp, Kobe, Humpo, all of them arrive as they're celebrating. They're also surprised at the size of Luffy's ship, but they celebrate on the deck. What's Frost do? So Garp kind of just there drinking sake. But then he actually would give them all new bounty posters. And we'll go from the highest to lowest bounties. Luffy is the highest at 390 million. Yes, 390 million is his current bounty. And he's a supernova. Bentham, or Bone Clay, 105 million. Supernova. Zala, 178 million. She's a supernova, but she's still a high bounty. We're wondering why Zala and Bentham are ahead of Zoro. Like, they had higher bounties to start with, and they're also unbelievably strong as well. So their bounties are rising at a faster pace than Zoro, Sanji, all them. But below Zala at number 4 is Zoro. He is also a supernova. Zoro is. Zala is not. Then below Zoro is Gin, number 5, 130 million. His bounty, he had an established bounty already. It was rising as well. Sanji's bounty is 122 million, just below Gin, barely, and he's also a supernova. So Sanji is a supernova with Zoro. There's 4 supernovas on this crew. But also contributes to why Luffy's bounty is much higher. There's 3 besides him. Below Sanji is Johnny Yosuke with a bounty of 88 million. They end up killing Bluno, like they murdered him, so their bounty is established. Like, understandable why it's that high. Robin is 3 million below them at 85 million. Nami is 80 million. The fact that no one knows that she's the one who killed those 4 separate agencies, her bounty would be on Bentham's level if they knew she did that. They honestly thought it was the ship. So, yeah. Usopp's bounty is 60 million. He's not kind of giants. There wasn't really much else to do aside from that, but, yeah. Franky's bounty is the same at 44 million, and Galdino has a bounty of 40 million. Just flat out 40. Doesn't really have a big increase. Frankie does run the crew, and Chopper, having like wanting more animals in the crew, would actually beg for Yokozuna, and then Yokozuna just agrees to join. So, yeah. What else? Oh yeah. I'm gonna talk about like this. I was supposed to talk about this later, but I don't want to. I'm gonna talk about how Luffy knew Robin was in danger, something had changed, like where he felt something was up. The quote I said was, I felt something was off, I was right. I went over how Luffy knew what that was, being that he awakened observation. He trains a lot. He knows what haki is. So with that, Luffy would awaken observation haki. His observation being that it's very similar to Fuchitora's, but he has a specific set color to everyone around him if they're close. Like, his ally has a set color for their aura, and if it changes the shade to a lighter or brighter tone, then he knows their emotions. If it's higher, they're either intensely sad or happy. If it's go lower, they're basically very depressed or angry. And there really should be no way to tell the difference, but Luffy can tell the difference because he's the user of it. I'm going to go over the colors of the Straw Hat's auras. Luffy has no aura for himself. He doesn't really know how he feels unless he thinks about it. Zoro is dark green, Nami is a vibrant orange, Usopp is beige, Sanji is bright yellow, Gin is a grayish black, Yosuke have a combined cyan aura, and individually, Johnny's aura is basically a very bright blue. So is Frankie, but, well, Frankie's is more than just blue, but, eh. Then Yosuke is very weird yellowish green. But together they have a cyan aura. Chopper's is magenta, Robin is dark purple, Zala is dark blue, Bentham is hot pink, Delino is steel gray, Marianne is a rainbow, Mikita is pale yellow, Lasso is an object, and Luffy and Chopper can talk to animals. They can just ask him, and he'll answer. Frankie is red, white, and blue. And then Yokozuna is a brownish green. He's a frog. Like, he's much more sentient frog, but he's a frog. They can either ask him, or Luffy just have a registered aura for him, and not Lasso. Lasso's also an object. They can turn into a dog. But, yeah. Now on to Thriller Bark. As they leave the Sword Triangle, they meet Brook, but they aren't scared. Brook says they weren't scared, it's time to actually grab Luffy's head, and then rip it right off his head, and say, this is far scarier. Brook had jumped and just said, great heavens! Then but also start his own head and laugh with Luffy. And eventually, Brook started playing music, and Luffy began dancing to it, both headless. So, yeah. Luffy and Brook kind of just bond by being goofy as hell and severing their limbs, having, like, basically, like, Brook has, like, fighting with arm bones. Luffy ends up bringing the bones out of his arm and fights Brook with those. So, yeah. Now, end up getting Thriller Bark, but there's a change here. Luffy's shadow cannot be stolen. Luffy has 2 possible death cons. It's to throw the whistle in his heart instantaneously, or hit Luffy with so much force that his body cannot adjust to heal from it within, like, a trillionth of a second, and even then, that might be too slow. But even then, the death cons for Luffy are not absolute. The stronger he gets, the less likely they happen. Like, already right now, the possibilities of them happening are at 20%. Even with Garp, they're still at 20, or Sengoku, or Kaido. 20% chances of killing Luffy permanently. Not high chances to kill Luffy permanently, even if you're a top 2 in the verse. You can be Roger, and the chance is maybe 22. So as Luffy gets stronger, the chance of killing him goes down. With other death cons, like Moria's fruit, where your shadow is gone, if it's up in the sunlight, you turn to dust. No. If there's a death con, the fruit will not work on Luffy. Fruits like Automaki, Moria, Hancock, Big Mom, Smoothie, Shinobu, Shoes, etc. It cannot work on Luffy because they all have death cons. Well, Shoes, kinda. Not really a death con, the fact that Luffy's body would be permanently affected by it, by being rusted. But his body would just probably adjust to rust, so it kind of just negates Shoes' ability. Aramaki's ability to drain nutrients. His body replenishes them immediately after. Like, his body doesn't kind of run out of anything. So anything Aramaki would be like, oh, infinite source. No. Luffy's body simply just kind of adjusts and forces Aramaki out of him. Like, Aramaki cannot really do anything to Luffy. It can drain everything from your body. Well, you can't. It won't work. Aramaki can't really do anything to Luffy. At least Devil Fruit wise. Moria, I explained why. Luffy simply can step in the sun and he won't be affected. Hancock. Yeah, Luffy can freeze in place, but then the statue will just kind of just break. Luffy can just break free because if the statue crumbles, that'd be a death con. So to have no death cons, Luffy can break out of Boa's fruit. Or Big Mom. Yeah, well, her fruit runs off fear. He can fear her, sure. She can kill you with her fruit, right? Yeah, she can. That is a death con. It's no more. She can take Luffy's soul, sure. After turning him out, she runs out of soul to take. So Ring has like a cap on what she would do to Luffy. Or Smoothie, she didn't bring out Luffy's body. She didn't bring me out, but yeah, she can bring out Luffy's body. Cool. She would literally just turn him, and then he'd bleed a bit, and then go back to normal. Like, her body will not, like, her doesn't allow her to drain Luffy. Like, he flat out negates Devil Fruits. And then Shinobu. Do I really need to explain that? I don't think so. But alright, let's keep going. Excuse me. Under a bark, Luffy and Zoro kind of just rampaging through everything together, like as they do with rampaging through everything they can, like, their hands on. Nami shoveling via lightning with Sanji and Gin behind her. Sanji held Chopper, Gin held Lasso as a cannon, like he had Lasso around his shoulders. Around his back. Luffy and Zoro eventually mow down every zombie general. Well, themselves. Then Zoro actually would split apart to go fight Ryuma at Luffy's request. Brook and Johnny Yosuke report together. Brook is told about how glorious Luffy is, and he even says when she wants to join the crew. And Johnny Yosuke, knowing Luffy accepts everyone, simply to say, "Alright, you're a member now." For the giant spider, things like Tata or something like that. The three of them look at it, and with the blink of an eye, they're both behind it with their own signature, like, just pose, and it's cut into pieces. So, yeah. Now, while Zoro fights Rima, Luffy fights, while Zoro fights Rima, Luffy fights Moria. And Moria tries to get Luffy's shadow, only to realize that Luffy's shadow cannot be grabbed or affected by him. Luffy's the only shadow that cannot be affected. And Luffy easily beating Moria. He's physically now on par with things like giants, if not more. And his speed is very similar to Cannon, if not much faster. That one's not hard to be faster than Moria, to be honest. But yeah, he basically beat Moria down, because the only option that Moria had was to run the ones. Running away? No. Running the ones, his only option. And he lost. Zoro had beaten Rima with the fact that Zoro was faster, stronger, more durable than Cannon, etc. Point when they clashed, Zoro deadass, like Rima blocked, sure. The force had knocked Rima's upper body off of his lower body, because he's a zombie and he's a decaying corpse. So with this, Rima simply said, even if you're more skilled than me that I cannot see, your body is simply just too great for me to go against. So, yeah. So Rima would give Zoro Shusui, and just said, combine this sword with your monstrous body. Now, Usopp. He's running around with Galdino, Marianne, and Mikita. When they find Perona, Galdino literally just whacks Kumasi in place and threatened to shatter it, or just break it. Perona tried to use her Devil Fruit, but Marianne was really short enough to sneak around her and paint a sky blue symbol on her, which turned her basically into a submissive yet loyal soldier before the Devil Fruit reached Usopp or Galdino. And Usopp has confidence, so yeah, it's kind of hard to... It's kind of hard to risk his confidence going away. But what else? With Hogback, with Nami and Sanji and all them. Well, Nami felt someone watching her in the shower. She literally just poked when the ground shocked it, and that's how they beat Absalom. When Hogback, Chopper called him a fraud, and then when he was mad enough, Lawson just spat a cannonball at him and shot him through a wall. And Hogback is a mostly normal person, so that ended the fight right then and there. So yeah, that ended it. But yeah. Now when Kuma arrived, by then the bark was basically like utterly destroyed. Moria was basically a bloody pulp. Perona was by the start outside. She basically grew to like Luffy's immortality more than she liked Moria's goth aesthetic. If Gruesome had an incarnation, it's Luffy. So yeah, she's by the start outside because she admires Luffy. All the screw like even William was really all sitting around and just listening to Brook play being sake. Luffy saw Kuma and recognized him, but he also understood that Kuma was a warlord. He knows what they are. Perona kind of said he was. Luffy understands why he's here to fight now. So, it was really a fight between Luffy and Zoro versus Kuma, and they told everyone including Lola's crew, to run. But Kuma had realized that these two are unconsciously using haki. Zoro using armament, and Luffy using observation. Kuma has both. He's able to beat them both, but still, he doesn't know that they're stronger than anyone in their generation of super rookies, aside from maybe Teach, which he doesn't know too much about. So yeah. After this fight, Perona is begging to stay, and Luffy agrees as long as she doesn't use her Devil Fruit on their crew. This is definitely going to be broken, but still. Yeah, Perona's allowed to stay. Bounties, no, there's no changes here. There was, if his bounty would be over 400 million by now, if not maybe over 500 million. Pause one more time. Oh, sorry. The crew meets and saves Kami. They end up beating Duval, all that. Well, Sanji actually has a legitimate bad bounty poster here. Like, he has to. His bounty is he's a supernova, for God's sake. He's a supernova. He needs one. But Duvall's like, oh, I'm just here to catch you guys. Luffy happened to kick him pretty, and he thanked him. So yeah. Now, the story is very much similar until they reach the auction house. When they get there, everyone knows Luffy. His crew, while forced several agencies, killed an East Blue pirate, excuse me, and a lot more. Now, Kid and Law, Luffy up and down, wondering what made him so special, as no one knows what unkillable is actually like meaning unless they fight Luffy themselves. And when Hachan was about to be shot, Luffy stepped in, and instead of taking the bolt to the chest, he just catches it. And he catches it and just flicks it back directly at Charlos. And Charlos ends up basically having his hand mangled severely, but when the bullet hits it, and it makes him drop the gun. But Luffy, some of Charlos' eyes had dropped. Luffy would jump and ended up doing a spinning back kick, nailing him square to the face, full force, knocking him out right then and there. So yeah. So he knocked out. Yeah, he pretty easily knocked out Charlos in one kick. Now, when they get outside, Kid and Law puts the team up to beat the Marines. But Chopper would walk up with actually a long sword like his Kabuto, and he's firing wax balls at the Marines. Wax balls explode, freezing the Marines in place, and he just says, "No need, boys. The Great Soga King can handle a few measly Marines." As he just smirks. But Nami punches him in the back of the head, telling him, "No one calls you the Great Soga King." So yeah. Now, Rayleigh ends up bringing a large crew to Shaki's bar, and they all talked and drank. Rayleigh proposed to tell him about the One Piece. Luffy just shook his head, saying, "No thanks, we'll find it as a crew, or I'm definitely going to live long enough to find it myself." Now, pause real quick. Okay, I'm back, sorry. So, once the crew stepped outside, they saw Kuma, Kizaru, and Sentomaru. Excuse me. Zoro, John Yosu decided to fight Sentomaru, Luffy and Bentham versus Kizaru, and everyone else fights Kuma. Now, as they fight, everyone does get scattered, but Bentham and Yaldino were just knocked out and arrested. As Bentham was just fighting Kizaru, so Kizaru literally just kicked him into one of the trees, and then he fell from that. And we got Yaldino, he was fighting Kuma, and Kuma literally just smacked him into the ground. Like, not even like his glove was so long, all that just smacked Galdino into the ground, and that was into the fight. But I'll tell you where everyone went, except for 3. I'll tell you where everyone went. So, Zoro, he went to the Monkey Kingdom. Nami, Witheria, Usopp, the Boyne Archipelago, Sanji, Kamabaka, Gin went to Karate Island. John Yosuke went to Monkey Kingdom, Chopper went to Torino, Robin got sent to Baltigo, yes, directly to Baltigo. I don't care about the bridge thing, that's just too much work. Plus, Chopper actually knows of the crew, so I can see Kuma also relaying the info to Sabo. Sabo simply just says, "Koala and Hack can do the bridge, send them to me." It's that easy, so Robin is sent straight to Sabo. Galdino arrested. Frankie is sent to Karakuri. Lasu is sent to Karakuri as well, where Lasu had to be touched by Kuma, just because they're shooting cannons at him and Kuma wanted to get him out of there. Frankie would try to tackle Lasu and cover him, but then they both get transported to Karakuri. And then Yokozuna is sent to Fishman Island. Honestly, it's just like he was just told to run, he jumped in the water and swam down to the Fishman Island. Brook is sent to Elgia, and Perona is also sent to the Monkey Kingdom. Also, the aura colors for them for the observation. Brook is neon green, and Perona is a smoky white. So, yeah. Alright. Now, Luffy, after being sent flying by Kuma's fruit, he woke up in a forest. or not a forest, but a very heavily wooded area. Looked around saying that he was in a bed, a room, all of that. I was curious as to why. He woke up realizing that Marianne, aka Miss Golden Week, is caring for him. Zola and Mikita were sitting by the door with a few Kuja around them. And it turns out that while Luffy was flying, Marianne was to crash headfirst into a boulder. Luffy had grabbed her, pulled her close, and then he took the boulder and bolted to the dome for himself. But he did get knocked out immediately. He's out for like 3 days. And after that, Kuja would be able to find them and demand hand over Luffy, or leave him in the port. They say he's our captain, all that. And they basically preach to the choir about how much they care for Luffy and how much he cares for them. So the Kuja allow Luffy to stay, and Boa herself wants proof of Luffy's ideology that Zala and Mikita preach that Luffy has. You guys keep forgetting Zala is Miss Doublefinger and Mikita is Miss Valentine, or Valentine's Day. But Boa, being skeptical of Luffy's ideals, wants to challenge him to prove his power and his ideals. And here, Boa does realize Luffy, well, one, already can't be turned to stone. He even let her try again, and he's even focusing on her womanly aspects. But even then, he is the person turned to stone, but he breaks out of it pretty easily. Almost instantaneously, he walks through it. The stone won't work on him because it's a death con that Luffy is immune to. He smirkingly says, "Sorry, but I have more important things on my mind than what's between your legs." He lists Boa and they begin fighting, and he's actually pretty easily able to counter using observation and all of that. But eventually he does lead on to Boa starting on hockey, and he does recognize it. He's able to actually dodge and counter for a majority of the time until Boa seemed exhausted, and then she was met with the most serious uppercut in life and got knocked out. So, yeah. So Boa's knocked out, and eventually the four Straw Hats end up going impelled down. Marianne got on board first, painting Momonga's back, which actually made him a bit foggy in the mind, where she would also pretend to be a soldier saying, not a soldier, but a Kuja child saying, "Oh yeah, Boa asked me to stay on board." Momonga being a bit foggy's like, "Did I agree?" She's like, "Yeah." And then she continues to sneakily paint everyone around her until everyone's able to sneak aboard and live quietly. Then as they're about to get off the ship, eventually she had basically, Boa had basically burst of hockey to kind of knock everyone down, smudging their paint, and they get back up. But they don't have any memories of what happened, as Marianne's paint now has effects where once the paint is smudged, your memory's gone. Alright. Now, eventually it impelled down, they still snuck in, but as they snuck in, well, it's a little Marianne painting Domino, and Domino would lead them through the floors until they made to the Blue Gory, where Marianne told her, scram. Now for the Blue Gory, Buggy was there, and Buggy in this one has really changed the fact that he's more brave. He has a rivalry going on with Luffy. It's a friendly one, but it's a rivalry nonetheless. See what Luffy does, Buggy cannot afford to be weak, and he knows it. So Buggy did train a little bit. He's a competent character. He's not like a top tier of the verse, but he's like, I'd probably say overall might be as strong as at maximum he could probably contend Alabasta Luffy overall. And that's without any gears. Basically, he can handle base Luffy without any gears pretty handedly. But anything past Gear 2, that'd be a fight where he's going to lose. With base Luffy, he'd actually fight and win. So. Basically, Blue Gory, Buggy had beaten all of them, because they also wield axes, so he was fine. So, once they realize that Buggy already handled the floor, he says, "Yeah, they're going to keep me here," not realizing that, the pokey things aren't really going to hurt me. We're actually mainly to make Luffy laugh. Eventually, they end up going down to level 2, and they found Galdino. And it turns out the Basilisk is actually frozen in wax. They go to his cell wondering, what's happening. And they see 2 knocked out guards, and his cell door is down. And he says, hi. And it turns out he basically, when he got to his cell, he beat up both his guards, so keys, freed himself, and beat the Basilisk. And he just stays in his cell because it's quiet and he can sleep there peacefully, of course. And when the guards wake up, he literally gets up and beats them with a baton until they fall back to sleep. He says, "Oh yeah, Bentham also sneaks things up here too. Like the moment he was let into his floor, he beat everyone up." Like, oh yeah, that's kind of cool. Is he up here sometimes? Like, oh yeah, he's the next cell over. His door is just actually locked. He was sleep fighting. Later, Bentham cell, saying that he is indeed sleep fighting, as his cell's covered in craters from his feet hitting them. So Luffy ends up yelling at his name, or Bonchan, and Bentham wakes up, rushing out, hugging Luffy. They unite, and they go on clearing more and more floors. It's like starvation hell, but as they go down, Bentham had basically beaten up all the guards and the jail beasts. He beat all the jail beasts himself. Bentham is a strong character, in fact, stronger than Kanen at this point. And Alabasta, he was almost relative to Sanji. Same for Gin. Like, I'm gonna go over the crew and how strong they are. Zoro's the hockey user. Aside from Luffy, no one just rivals him flat out. Nami, she is a competent user of the lightning Logia. In fact, better than Enel. Only thing Enel has on her is observation hockey, and even then, she just knows the weather to the point where she can pretty easily get around him. Usopp. He's not weak, but he's definitely still not a top tier of the crew. Gin is a relative to Sanji. John and Yosuke are also relative to Sanji as a duo. Individually, they'd be slammed. But yeah. Chopper, probably about as strong as Kanen, but definitely has better medicines and enhances his rumble balls. What else? Robin. She's still not the strongest, but she's definitely pretty strong overall, I guess. Uzala, not relative to Zoro and Sanji or Gin, but she can herself beat Down and Yosuke individually, so she's still up there. Bentham, relative to Zoro and Sanji, kind of in between them both. Bit stronger than Sanji, not quite Zoro's level. Eldino, kind of the same case as Robin. Marianne, she's small, she's quick, but everyone knows her abilities. Mikita, she's pretty powerful, but also same case as Galdino. Like, yeah, I'm strong, but Luffy, that is a dog that shoots cannons. It is ship level maximum. The rest of the crew is also ship level without trying too hard. Frankie, he's as strong as Kanen, aside from that he has Devil Fruit, so if anything, he's enhancing himself over time. Yokozuna, that is a toad that knows sumo. I don't know what you're expecting. Brook, strong as Kanen. Prona, strong as Kanen. Yeah. Alright. Now level 4, where they find Das Bones. Das Bones can see the change in his allies, as he even knows their new bounties. He was told about them. And this kind of makes him laugh, seeing his allies. Just keep in mind, I believe the last bounty I had for them. I didn't give a bounty for Mikita. She didn't do much for this one, but she definitely would have a higher bounty than Johnny and Yosuke. So I'm going to add that in at 95 million. Yeah, Mikita sounds 95 million. That's good. Alright, yeah, so Mikita's bounty is 95 million. She's also not supernova. By the way, most Crocodile's crew are not supernovas. They're established to be on a warlord crew. Their bounties are just frozen. So there's really not much else that would happen. So that's why that's why Bentham is supernova. The fact that his bounty is so high after an established bounty on the crew. Zala was like the number 4 of the crew. Bentham was like maybe number 5, but Zala was still top 5, higher than Bone Clay, all that. Versus he was established earlier on. Bentham, it's kind of favoritism for Bentham, but Sanji actually earned it in this one. But yeah. Alright, back to Info Down. As Bones happy to see his crew, and she is acknowledging that Bentham was probably the strongest one there, aside from Luffy. But eventually, this does lead to them going further down until they encounter Magellan. Luffy goes in to punch Magellan, thinking he's a regular guy, but then Magellan is placed on Luffy's hand and melts it clean off. He jumped back because his hand began to heal slowly, and like really slowly, which did confuse him. But he simply just yelled, telling them, "Go find Ace." Everyone's a bit nervous, but then as they're running away, Nikita had an idea. Everyone's wondering what she was doing. Pause. Sorry about that. But as Luffy was walking away, everyone's confused on what she was doing. Until she would just tell like Daz Bones and Makita to catch her. Not Makita. Tell Daz Bones and Zala to catch her. She fell backwards and she yelled 5,000 kilo crush. Daz Bones and Zala grabbed her, barely holding on until she let her weight go and then pulled her back up. They realized she broke the catwalk. Wondering what's going to happen until the catwalk entirely fell, dropping Luffy and Magellan into boiling water, or blood, or whatever was down there originally. Many were wondering what she was thinking, until not long after, Luffy emerged, pulling himself out of the boiling liquid, his body being badly melted, but he's fine. He's painting, though, so he's never really experienced such a gruesome death before. But then tried to grab Luffy, he tried to support him, but Luffy instead would turn around until Bone Clay helped him push it over. Yeah, guess why, but Luffy just says Magellan doesn't deserve to die for just doing his job. Bone Clay would nod, everyone would help Luffy push over the container as his muscles are still regenerating. Because he experienced 2 new ways to die in a matter of like a minute. His body is not useless right now. His belief in his own immortality is wavering. But they end up knocking down the boiler, or whatever was in it, and they end up freeing Magellan, who's not dying, but he's definitely badly burned. Luffy rushed over, basically made sure Magellan was fine, and then also just told them how they gotta talk a lot about his bowels, so they should get him somewhere where he can use the rest of the restroom peacefully. So Bone Clay actually just pick up Magellan and run away, come back a few minutes later, settled, and they end up continuing their journey, going down to Frozen Hell. Luffy did hold Mary Ann in his arm, because she's 16, but she's the size of a child. So he held her, and she was basically using his body as heat. Basically everyone is using his body as a heater, because he was just in boiling water, and his body is adjusted to cold to the point where he kind of just heats up naturally, like insanely hot. So as they're walking by, they end up encountering a large woman who then turned into a man. Venom's eyes widen as he yells, "The glorious Emporio Ivankov." Ivankov then led them to level 5.5. The crew recovered, and Luffy had fallen asleep because his body is still trying to find a way to heal from Magellan's various poisons, but also the boiling water, since he wasn't used to healing such major things, and experienced 2 major ways to die recently. But he fell asleep, and that basically sped up the healing factor a lot, to the point where he instantaneously healed, but he was still asleep. Until they get down, listening to Ace had left, but they're told he left probably an hour ago. He's probably on a ship right now, but they never catch him. So, on level 6, Zala would use her spikes to break her pick locks. Crocodile can even also tell the difference in his former crewmates, as Daz Bones helping Crocodile, can disclose all that. But Daz simply says, "You see the difference, can't you?" Crocodile just laughs, saying, "Yeah, definitely. I honestly think if they were in Alabasta, they'd beat me." And Daz says, "They can beat me right now, I can tell." So, yeah. As they're on the way out, Magellan just tried to go for a reaction to Luffy. But Luffy already knowing having met Magellan, would shove his fingers on the ground, uprooting it. And the Crocodile would use a sand slash, hitting Magellan across the chest, incapacitating him. For Hanya Bowl, literally Luffy just walked through his slash, grabbed by the face, and just squeezed him until he fainted. So, yeah. They found Blackbeard's crew, and Blackbeard is one of the few people who thought Luffy's Devil Fruit is or Luffy's immortality is a Devil Fruit. It's a theory that it isn't, but that's basically only within Sengoku, Kuma, Doflamingo, and Mihawk. A few people know it's not Devil Fruit, such as Garp, but Garp isn't going to rat his grandson like that. Alright, so yeah. Now, Blackbeard tried to hold Luffy in place as Shiryu was running through his heart, when he realized Luffy's body is still healed. And he kind of just said, the hell? Your Devil Fruit would be cancelled. He says, "What the mess with your Devil Fruit?" And then he would launch the Mina straight right into Blackbeard's chest. Blackbeard would just fall over, and his body was leaning against Luffy's. Luffy went all out for that punch. And by the way, Luffy's current strength is comparable to a giant, by the way. if not actually a bit above that. And Teach's body has enhanced levels of pain. And Luffy did it like straight to the solar plexus. Teach is out. Now Shiryu tried to like go in for another attack, but then he realized the entire crew was supposed to be in wax, and then he kind of realized there's really no way for him to get out of this. And Luffy just laughs at Shiryu, just begrudgingly, he just sits down and waits for them to pass. And Luffy just says, "Never turn your back to Galdino. When you do, you lose. Well, unless you're me." And then he just laughs as he continues walking. Pause. Alright, sorry about that. So yeah, so even Luffy kind of admits that, Galdino kind of beats anyone who turns their back to him. That's why his bounty is so high, at least for what it is right now, which is, I think, 44 million. Which, guys, so high, for Galdino, yes. Yeah, no, Galdino is 40 million. Frankie's the only one, not only one, but he's the only one in the same range that's higher than him. I don't know why I said his bounty so high. For someone who relies on sneak attacks only, like, Galdino's whole thing is that he knows his best bet is sneak attacks. He's not physically gifted. He's damn good at what he does. Like, even all the tryouts know, when it comes to training or sparring, focus on him only. At least have one person focus on him. So, yeah. Now, eventually the crew would get to Marineford, and they get that thing on Whitebeard, because Ace had not left that long ago from when they were sailing. Now, as the waves are shot in the air by Whitebeard's shockwave, would basically create a giant wax, bridge, and everyone would grab onto it and slide down it, and then quickly Crocodile would kind of sever it using his sand, and then it falls in the ocean. So there's no evidence they were ever there. They all end up dressing up as Marines, sneaking in. Galdino would just copy the face, not Galdino, but they'll copy the face of one, and then continue through their everything, saying probably a Vice Admiral to make it less suspicious. So let's say Vice Admiral Cancer. So they eventually watch Marineford getting closer and closer to Sengoku sneakily, at least a platform. Then when Garp jumps up to go punch Marco out of the air, to everyone's shock, Luffy would jump up and slam his fist or his elbow into Garp's ribs, sending Garp flying down. And Luffy then follows up by falling his elbow into Garp's face. So yeah, so Marco ends up flying over them. In fact, even Crocodile was throwing sand at people who tried to fire bullets or cannons, and then Galdino's even freezing them in the air with his wax. And Marco just yells things to them. But get closer when we met by Sengoku, who tries to use his Buddha form. Buggy would use his wicked hands, and just tell Sengoku, move, and just push him over, making him fall onto Marines. With the two executioners, Bentham literally just walked up, and with two quick punches, both executioners were knocked off the platform onto the ground. Galdino used a wax key, freeing Ace, and Marco would end up flying Galdino, Marco fly Ace, Galdino, and Bentham over to Whitebeard on the Moby Dick. Marco was surprised that they got Ace that quickly. And on the ground, Luffy and Garp are fighting, but Luffy has basically held both Garp's fists in one arm, and he's headbutting Garp in the face as much as humanly possible. And Garp's having Luffy's face splatter on him, even as he's using hockey. Luffy just does not care. He is dying over and over again as he headbutts Garp, but he just does not care. What else? There was a giant who just found his accident on Whitebeard that scene, but Marianne painted on his leg, and it was basically the color of the sky blue color of submission and loyalty. Immediately, the giant would turn around and cut down two giants in one swing, and he's basically beat down on everyone around him, basically. With this, the admirals already knew they had charged, and Sengoku did as well. Two Sengoku and three admirals charged a ship side by side, and they tried to fight him. But immediately, as they all charged it, we see Sengoku get covered in wax and get brought down to the ground. And even when he tried to go into his Buddha form, he kept growing, but then more and more wax kept being added. Now, Gino's wax is probably broken pretty easily, but he's just piling it on non-stop until he gets tired. But as the fight raged on, it was all for long enough for Whitebeard to give an order to get, for Marco to get Ace out of there, and also get as many Luffy's allies out of there as he could. And with this, Whitebeard was able to get everyone, like, his entire crew retreated. Like, they needed Ace, they got Ace, they leave, but Whitebeard was alone on the Moby Dick. He made sure of that. Allied crew, ships were filled with crew members. But as well as Whitebeard tried to escape on his own, as the Marines are realized they're suffering a great loss. Because even Garp's on the ground holding his head, it's like he has a bad headache from Luffy headbutting him over 1,000 times, and dying over 1,000 times against his head. So the Marines already accept their loss, while Whitebeard's trying to leave, and says, I want to only have a ship grabbed by San Juan Wolf. Whitebeard kind of just laughs, as he sits down and saying, he's in no mood to fight, he's already dying. And Teach just looked pissed. So eventually he decided to Teach who would but eventually take Whitebeard's fruit. Or if he just dies here, or Teach would just have a fruit nearby, get the double fruit, and then eat it. Ruskaina. On Ruskaina, Luffy, Bentham, Galdino, Zala, Mikita, Marianne, Ace, Master Deuce, Orange Jr., Marco, Izo, Whitey Bay, Buggy, Crocodile, Daz, Junbei, Ivankov, and Inazuma were all surrounded by a bonfire. Drinking a bottle of sake. Well, not Crocodile, but it was to commemorate Whitebeard. And when they arrived, he would look at all of them saying, some of you should leave, some of you should train. And I don't think anything what to do, but all of you being on one island is difficult. Also, I have a guest. When behind him is Garp come out of the water, shirtless as well. And they're all surprised, wondering why he brought Garp here. But eventually they talk, and by the end of it, on the island all that's left are Luffy, Ace, Oars, Master Deuce, and actually no, that's it, yeah, just those four. But Galdino and Bentham both leave with Inazuma and Ivankov, Bentham going to Kamabaka, and then he's with Sanji. But then Galdino being brought to Sabo. Or brought to where Sabo's base is, basically to Robin. What else? Oh yeah, the Kuja took on Whitey Bay, who I'm having here. In fact, that she was one of the captains who had the captain escape, or other people escape, and she was one with Izo. Izo wanted to be with Marco, because they're friends. They've been together for a long time, on the crew for a long time. So yeah. But yeah. So why Whitey Bay should cheer for Izo? The Kuja would ask Whitey Bay, Zala, Mikita, Marianne, and Izo if they want to train on their island. And all of them agree. Izo's there, but not many things. He's not trans. He just wanted to be somewhere aside from Ruskaina. Kiku, his sister, is trans. All right. Now Garp would sit with Luffy and Ace, and he tells them Sabo is on the way here. He just wants to check on you two. He tells Luffy that the Gordo say want you. I can see why, but they're not giving anyone the reasoning behind why they want you. So he says, I can have that on my watch. I love my job, but not the elders. I love the Marines, not the government. So with this, Garp says he'll take Luffy under his wing until he thinks he can fight off whatever forces the five elders throw at him. So with this, Luffy ends up leaving with Garp after he says hi to Sabo, all that, while Rayleigh decides to train Master Deuce and Ace. Or is trained on his own on the completely other side of Ruskaina. Oh, what else? Oh yeah, so I'm gonna go over how everyone trained and their results. But with training, Luffy will learn observation hockey and advanced observation, like future sight, all of that, but also his own fine-tuned sense for emotions. He masters that as well. And then he's also basically on the verge of Ryuo. And he has great conquerors. He can knock out a little over 80,000 people if he wants to. Zoro. Zoro has Ryuo and base observation, as he was already unlocked armor hockey pre-training. Mihawk just helped him unlock even further, because Zoro was already much stronger than canon. Nami. Excuse me. Nami had got great control over the Gogoro no Mi, not awakening it, but she's definitely a very great user of it. Plus, she basically made her combat attack a lot more light and focused or storm based, and it's enhanced. with that. So, yeah. What else? Usopp would learn observation hockey, and it's actually great observation hockey. Because, you know, with confidence, he trains a lot harder, plus he's been training for a lot longer. So Usopp already has that, like not even a year into training him on observation, so his observation is actually pretty great. Like, the point where the only person who has better observation than Usopp on the crew is Luffy. For Sanji, he began his German powers early. He was wondering why. He trained a lot more often before the time skip, but also, when you show the logic of having someone to train with makes you stronger, he had Bentham. And Bentham is an exact equal to him, if not above him. So Sanji having shit kicked in almost every day for 2 years, yeah, Germans come in and save him. So he also would awaken the base forms of the base two forms of hockey. Zoro would also have brief control over conquerors. Not like 10,000 people knocked out, but a few hundred and maybe like 2,000 maximum he can do. What else? Gin, he basically would completely master Tonfa. Like, he's basically probably the most skilled person on the crew, and that's including Zoro. So his skills basically top of the verse wouldn't be. Probably Mihawk is above him, but overall in terms of skill, he's still a pretty, like, DB top 5. His skill's great for this one. And he has the base two forms of hockey, which actually does put him, like, his skill would also put him, like, on par with characters like Zoro and Sanji. Ron and Yosuke, they learn the base two forms of hockey, but Johnny excels in armament, Yosuke excels in observation. Like how pre-time Zoro excels in armament, Sanji would excel in observation, all that. Chopper. He learned to rework his double fruit, and he has every single point he can enter, but also by using Luffy's blood, he can basically alter some effects, where he basically eliminates side effects from all of his drugs. And that basically the point where he can use every form and point with rumble balls, but the ones free time skip he can use without rumble balls. He can just turn into them by will, which is how he reworked his double fruit. Because he was a lot more medically involved due to Luffy's unique body, and he tried to study it more frequently. Then with Robin, she learned fisherman karate and both forms of hockey. She trained a lot. She had understanding of combat earlier on, plus Luffy probably told the crew about hockey from what he knew. Like, he knew about it, he just didn't know how it felt. Zala, she actually like enters the top tiers for like Luffy and Zoro level, where she awakened her fruit, where she basically creates spikes on any surface. It's like, as long as she's touching it, like she can touch a building and the entire thing can basically be made into a building of spikes, or the ground that she's standing on, she can create a few dozen spikes. But she also will learn the base two forms of hockey. She was taught by Shaki instead of the actual Kuja. So Shaki was Zala's teacher. For Bentham, he awakened his fruit to the point where he can copy a person, their clothes, feel their memories, like basically the most recent memories, but also one technique. A single technique. His fruit isn't the strongest copy double fruit, but it's still a pretty good one. So with this, well, like, one technique can be any technique as long as he has an understanding of hockey if they're using it. Like, he wants to copy Dark Galaxy Impact. He just needs to know armament hockey, and then he actually Galaxy Impact. It'll just take a lot out of him. So yeah. Pause. Okay, sorry, I'm back. So Bentham just needs to have an understanding of hockey, and he can copy any technique as long as if there's hockey involved. He can be advanced; it does not matter. As long as he knows hockey, he can copy any technique, which is insane. Yes, I agree. I love it. Saldino also awakens his fruit. Basically, most of the Baroque works awaken their fruits. Saldino awakens his fruit, and he's basically taught how to curry, but wax and no hockey. Max says wax is probably better than how to curry's mochi. So. Marianne, she would basically learn observation hockey, kind of having an affinity for it, so, yeah. Her paint doesn't really change. If anything, she becomes more effective and a quicker painter, I guess. Mikita would awaken her fruit, and she could go upwards of 45 million kilograms, which, let me check the weight. So, yeah, so Mikita can go upwards of 45 million kilograms, or 99 million pounds, or 49,000 tons. Being that Mach Vice would probably, I think he has a thing called where it's like 10 million ton press. I don't think it's exactly 10 million tons, that'd be insane. But Mikita is still basically insanely heavy, but also she learned to distribute her weight in only certain parts of her body, where if she wants to go in for a punch, she just needs to bring like the punch downwards and increase the weight on that. If she wants to go for the side, just she can add a bit of weight to it, but not like the 45 million that actually drag her body downwards. So, you know, you have to be careful where she places her attacks. Lasso, Frankie reworks a double fruit, like a lot. Like he basically turned any part of his body into a cannon. Plus, Frankie added a little thing to him where he can bark, and then it actually would bark out words. So Frankie has the collar for that, like that for Lasso. Frankie himself, he is a master builder, like basically just shipwright, inventor, all that. Awakening the Baku no Mi would be easy work for Frankie. What's all they come up with stuff, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm not smart to understand all this. I'll grab what I am trying to understand with, and I'll eat that, and what I can't understand, put it in something I can understand, and then I'll rework it. Like by the time Frankie is like back with the crew, he looks like he does pre-time skip, but his entire body is basically millions of tools compressed into one thing. Like he doesn't really change too much, but even then, he is unreasonably full of inventions. So yeah. Yokozuna, they kind of just learned fish and karate. It's a toad. I don't know what you want from me. Brooke. Brooke learned observation hockey, tame taught musica, and is on the verge of awakening armament hockey. Perona would awaken her fruit, and the awakening of her fruit is insane. What it does is it conjures an army of ghosts. Is what like should conjure an entire army of goats. No, I say goats or ghosts. You conjure an entire army of ghosts. The ghosts can also bring forth different emotions, help brainwash people. If like instead of it just being like, "Oh, I'm sad," no, it brings forth things like you're so happy you throw up, and then while throwing up, you just get kicked in the side of the head. She'll also make like her ghosts tangible, like 5 at a time, because she changes with her awakening. But the five tangible ghosts can fight as people. And then she can also just make her ghost army into one giant ghost, and its punches can bring forth emotion. So can the ghosts that punch you normally. Ace and Mass Deuce, they train under Rayleigh, and they both learn advanced armament hockey, and they are on the verge of advanced observation. Boris Jr., he has 2 forms of hockey, and he probably does for time skip, but we're not sure. So, like, he didn't use it to coat his leg, and we already have a reveal of hockey early on. Not early on, but recently, so let's say he doesn't have hockey. So he's just a giant, and it works for him. Izo, he literally just wanted to train by himself, so he went to the Kuja and then left, like on the side of the island. So let's say he probably just completely mastered a future sight, like he just has that now. Whitey Bay, she just has the base forms of hockey. She's just here because she was there for Izo, and then Izo would eventually be asked, to join the crew, and then Whitey Bay is asked by Izo to join as well. So, yeah. But yeah, this is the current crew now. Whitey Bay, Izo, or Jr., Ace, Mass Deuce, Perona, Brooke, Yokozuna, Frankie, Lasso, Mikita, Marianne, Galdino, Bentham, Zala, Robin, Chopper, Johnny, Yosuku, Gin, Sanji, Usopp, Nami, Zoro, Luffy. This is the entire Straw Hat crew. So, yeah. And from Garp, Luffy would end up learning the 6 powers, Galaxy Impact, and a technique called Galaxy Divider. Being that basically Luffy would use an axe kick or just like a chop, and it would basically bring down him to Galaxy Impact, but it would cut everything cleanly in half, or into whatever angle or portions Luffy was aiming for. So, yeah. Alright, now we move on to the first arc after the time skip, being where they all reunite as Sabaody. Now, Garp basically trained Luffy where he trained Aokiji. It was like that no one really used that area aside from Garp, so no one ever went there. No one ever respected the thing aside from, like, Garp. And Kobe, but Kobe didn't really say anything. He owes Luffy his life in his opinion. What else? once everyone reunites, there's basically those two ships who are trying to confront them and stop them. But Izo loses aim his gun, fire 2 shots that are immune to hockey, and the ships are just gone, erased. With Sentomaru, instead of really just saying, "Oh yeah, if you cross this line, I'll, you have to deal with me." We end up seeing Yokozuna jump up, and with a simple frog strike, he immediately would just, well, not wipe out their army, but enough of them are sent flying, and then he hops into the boat. Now, Sentomaru tried to jump in the way of the ship, but Frankie with his wink, and it actually sent Sentomaru flying. Everyone's wondering how Frankie did that, but he doesn't share. He just pokes to his platinum mouth. So yeah. Pause real quick. Alright, sorry. So once the crew is eventually able to descend into Fishman Island, the ship is coated the Maximum Mary. Really took months to coat that thing. It is a cargo ship. As ascending, Yokozuna will also push it down to its own speed. And soon we end up getting to Fishman Island. And here we actually see that a lot of the problems that would arise are not here. Like, Cody's the biggest threat. In fact, that Yokozuna, it's only a Straw Hat crew. It's pretty skilled, and she can throw hands on a pretty good level. The Ocean crew didn't really stand much of a chance, but there was still some threats, like Cody himself. Pause one more time, sorry. Okay. So there aren't many problems here. Like Vanderdecken left a while ago. Yokozuna was like the protecting frog. But soon we get on into how Luffy would handle things here. Like if you give it to him versus Hody can land as many punches as he wants to, and they're not going to affect Luffy. Like the entire crew can just kind of know the Fishman Island themselves. And I'm being factual. Most of them can do it themselves. But then the next arc is Punk Hazard, and here, honestly, hold up. So for Punk Hazard, I don't think about this. For Punk Hazard, Law would probably be more intrigued with Luffy if anything else. Not like he probably would think Luffy's an idiot, but he also doesn't understand. Luffy's crew is overwhelming. Like, it is a crazy, powerful crew. As I'm gonna assign bounties for the ones we were in Marineford. Pause. Alright, the bounties are as basically what I say right now. Ace, 1.3 billion. Ace waking his fruit, all of that. He's currently insane in terms of the levels of power. Luffy, 800 million. Orange Jr., 700 million. Izo, 680 million. YD Bay, 650 million. Bentham, 320 million. Zala, 300 million. Nikita, 260 million. Marianne, 190 million. And Galdino, 160 million. Those are all the current bounties. So, yeah. But, we'll move on into Punk Hazard, yeah. In Punk Hazard, I don't really see, I don't see many things happening like Law. She kind of likes the Straw Hats. A lot of them are more composed and absurdly loyal to Luffy. For anything, Law has a bit more respect for them, if anything else. But, I would say when it comes down to like characters such as Kinemon, he's definitely very amazed by Luffy. And when it comes down to Law losing shambles, he doesn't do it. He doesn't switch to his personalities. But I'm gonna skip forward probably to when they get Kinemon's body and there was a whole shark thing. When it comes down to that, literally most of us can get it. Luffy's probably the one who would get it. So when Luffy would grab Kinemon's like lower half, We do see the shark come at Luffy, but he literally grabs it by the snout and drags it to the top and holds it out of the water before calling it a bad shark and throwing it back in. But, when we get to... let's say, probably, I guess, against, like, Smoker and his crew, first against them. Smoker isn't really a challenge for anyone here, like, at all. Like, even Usopp can beat Smoker, he can find a way to do so. Only people I can't beat Smoker are Lasso and Chopper. Well, and Yokozuna, so. But after that, we end up moving on into, what next? Well, let's get into the fights. First fight is Virgo. Now, let's say, yeah, Law should probably be the one to kill Virgo. He should. He isn't. Virgo's first fight here is Sanji. This Sanji will beat Virgo with one slap. He can physically do that. He doesn't even use his hands. He literally slap Virgo and he'll go across the room knocked out. That led to Sanji being able to beat Virgo on his own. When Law arrives, Virgo's knocked out. So he just leaves him. He leaves him to be absorbed in the fog, smoke, all that, etc. What else? Wait, pause real quick. Sorry. But when you get on to, well, Virgo's left in the smoke. And then when it comes down to Caesar, it's anyone's fight. Like, literally anyone's fight. Ace probably the only one at a disadvantage here. But, yeah. But I'd say that Ace would, but I'd say that Ace isn't going to be able to fight. So with that, let's say the person who can beat Caesar. I can see it pretty easily, probably being Law. Like, Law can fight him and win this fight. It wouldn't matter that much. But the next fight, I honestly forgot a lot of the fights in this arc. I don't like it. So let's skip over it. Let's get into Dressrosa. Ones who stay in Dressrosa are Luffy, Zoro, Usopp, not Sanji, he leaves actually. Keen, Robin, Bentham, Nikita, Frankie, Corona, Boris Jr., and that's it. Oh yeah, by the way, Whitey Bay is given Monet's Devil Fruit. If you guys are wondering why, Monet's not really an important character, and she is canonically dead, so let's say her fruit reincarnated on the Straw Hat's vessel, and they all thought putting that Whitey Bay should eat it, she agrees, and yeah, she has that fruit now. How many Straw Hats have double fruits in this one? So we have Whitey Bay, Ace, Brooke, Perona, Frankie, Lasso, Nikita, not Marianne actually, Galdino, Bentham, Zala, Robin, Chopper, Nami. 13. 13 of them have devil fruits. But Luffy, Zoro, Usopp, Sanji, Gin, Johnny, Yosuke, Marianne, Yokozuna, Masdeus, Oars, and Izo don't. But let's say we get to what should be the next fight? What should the next fight be? opponents. Let me do that real quick. Okay, the fights go as this. Luffy versus Doflamingo, Law versus Trouble, Kiros versus Diamante, Zoro versus Pika, Usopp versus Sugar, Nami versus Giola, Gin versus Lao G, Frankie versus Nero Pink, Nikita versus Mock Vice, Bentham versus Dellinger, Robin versus Gladys, Bartolomeo versus Buffalo, Sai versus Baby 5. Everyone else can handle the Marines. Oars is here too. His job is literally the Marines. So. Alright, yep, stated. Oars is busy keeping Fujitora busy. But, we move on. Let me get into the fights. First one, Luffy versus Doflamingo, is the most important one. Simple as that. So, when fights happen, or the fight happens, Doflamingo tries to, cut up Luffy, all that. Plus, Bellamy tries to fight Luffy, but he already knows the losing fight. Like, Luffy's just walking, and he goes and goes in for a punch, Luffy literally just sidesteps and kicks him through a wall, end the fight. So, Luffy's Doflamingo, they start fighting, and Luffy just realized he can't do any damage to Luffy. But eventually Luffy is able to kick Doflamingo into the air. Even when Doflamingo is licking his fruits, Luffy is still able to go all out. Like Luffy, the energy that lasts days. But eventually it goes on into Doflamingo trying to, Doflamingo trying to see, kind of just cover Luffy in threads and throw him into the birdcage. But Luffy is eventually able to jump into the air, and as he jumps up, he would then use Galaxy Impact for the first time, but basically erasing the entire mountain that, the castle's on. So with this, Dressrosa is not gone, but the castle is. And with this, it goes on to, Trouble versus Law. That was happening simultaneously as Doflamingo versus Luffy. Now, Law pretty easily fight. Easily won the fight. It was not a hard fight. Like one slash with hockey down the middle could have killed Trouble. So, yeah. So it was a pretty easy fight. Then Kiros versus Diamante, same as canon. Zoro versus Pika. That happened before Luffy versus Doflamingo, and literally when Zoro saw it, he didn't need thrown. His leg strength is just so strong at this point in season training to him jump all the way to Pika. He already knew he didn't need didn't need his whole power. He literally just needed one sword and a lot of Ryuo. So he used Chusui, and as closer he would just use that one slash. His Ryuo went sent through Pika, and immediately it would basically erase the entire midsection of Pika. So with that, Pika falls and crumbles, defeated. By the way, currently I'm gonna go on Luffy who's stronger than Doflamingo right now. Luffy stronger, Luffy stronger, Zoro is stronger, Sanji is stronger, Gin is an equal, I'd say. Nami, give her any understanding of hockey and she'd be a competent fighter. She'd probably contend Doflamingo. Joniosuke, they're also pretty decent, but not quite yet. Zala would be pretty relative. Bentham is stronger than him currently. Nikita is also she's also technically stronger than him physically. What else? Who else? Frankie has the tools, but not right now. He could have the tools. Ace is stronger, Masseuse is stronger, Izo is stronger, and Whitey Bay is stronger. So, yeah. So, yeah, Zoro pretty easy to cut down Pika in one slash. Wasn't really a hard fight. Then, Usopp for Sugar, he was literally told to find Sugar. And he did as told. So with this, Usopp would go around to go find Sugar, and he was told about it. So, as using the observation to find her, as his observation works kind of like the clairvoyance devil fruit. So as he's able to look around and find for him, he's eventually able to find where sugar is. And it was not really hard for him to beat her. Like, from a distance, he can literally just knock her out with a wax ball. Plus, his wax balls also explode and cover people in wax. And the wax is Scaldino, so it hardens to the point where it's hard to steal. So he has a numerous ways to knock out Sugar. Pretty easy. And he does just that. So Sugar is pretty easily beaten by Usopp. Nami versus Jola. Now, on their ship out, Jola is on the boat, tries to use the abstract ability, like a devil fruit and all of that. But pretty quickly, Nami would just turn to lightning, so it doesn't really affect her. Even if it does, it pretty quickly breaks. Instead of Jola being confused by that, Nami hits her with a quick, he pulls her very Mustang, swapping her hand down, hitting her with bolt lightning from her hand. Which is either done, or she's done, and Jola is unconscious. Or dead, one of the two. But, yeah, Nami wins that fight. Gin versus Lao Ji. This fight like that Lao Ji is a skilled martial artist, but also, Gin, at this point, is top in the verse at this point, like one of the tops for his martial arts skill. It allows him to use his ability to handedly slam Lao Ji. Like, Taki, all that. Like, Lao Ji can go all out as he wants. Gin has enough fancy footwork and enough raw force with hands or just tonfa to beat Lao Ji. Point where he can literally just throw one tonfa and send it into Lao Ji's old man chest, and that old man chest is now an old man divot. So, yeah. So, yeah, Lao Ji's dead. Frankie versus Senor Pink. That fight, it should go as same as canon, but Frankie, he's not as bulky, but he's still, like all around muscular now, so he's actually able to, he fights Senor Pink with a pretty unique style of just boxing, but also combining it with wrestling, and that allows him to actually beat Senor Pink a lot faster. But he does Senor Pink, somebody thinks, we should have drinks one day. Frankie opens up his compartment of his chest, in the chest compartment, pulls out a few drinks, and sits one down next to Senor Pink, telling him, recover. He says to Senor Pink, and they both just drink in silence. Makita versus Mach Weiss. Now, Mach Weiss can tell what devil fruit she uses, and as she talks about how much a ton is compared to 1 kilogram, Makita just smiles, saying, "Is your fruit awakened?" He's confused, only to get into an axe kick, and he tries to block it. Like, Mach Weiss tries to block it like one hand, only for him to watch his arm bend and contort. Pause. So with this, they're able to actually they're able to go blow for blow, kind of. As they go, Makita does actually see Mach Weiss try to use his 10 million ton crush or 10,000 ton crush. I can just pull up Mach Weiss real quick. Password. Right here, Mach Weiss. Double fruit. Ton no mi. $10,000 ton vice. Yeah, 10,000 ton vice. So, with that devil fruit, this clash, Makita does see Mach Weiss try to do it, but she pretty quickly would just jump back, holding up her umbrella, and then she just says, "I also just control how light I am." And she is floating away. Mach Weiss was confused until Makita would drop herself, and started to smirk, saying, 10,000 tons, that's cute. And she immediately would just fall on Mach Weiss, going all out in terms of weight. Now, Makita, her max out in tons is about 50,000 tons. From what we see of Mach Weiss, his is 10,000. Makita flattened him. Her impact shook Dressrosa. Well, yeah, by the way, Luffy's birdcage, gone. Luffy dealt with that a while ago. Like, once he beat the Flamingo, and then Law dealt with it. What else? Bentham vs. Dellinger. That has a zesty off. That's all it is. And Bentham wins wholeheartedly. He's the one who can turn into a actual woman. So Dellinger just loses because Bentham is more just Bentham is Bentham, and no one is allowed to beat him on this channel. Robin vs. Gladys or Gladius, I don't know. You really just have Bentham just not Bentham, Robin. She might just summon hands on him, put them in hockey, and just snap him in pieces. Robin would do that. So, like, well, unless she sees him, like, his ability, she gets like, oh yeah, unique demonstration. Goes him in arms and crushes him using hockey, and that ends the fight. Bardo versus Buffalo. Buffalo tries to spin at Bardo. He literally grabs him, like, just puts his hand out, grabs him by the head, and slams him into the ground so hard the ground around him shakes. And that ends the fight. Buffalo is a nobody. Sai versus Baby 5. I don't know what you want out of that. It goes the same way as canon. It's Sai. The man's amazing. Ors versus Fujitora. Ors uses hockey now, so he's kind of actually putting up a good fight against Ors's entire, not Ors, against Fujitora's entire fleet. So, with it, I would say that he doesn't win, but Fujitora does know retreating is in the best interest of his crew. So first on Zou, when they arrive, the ones who are on Zou right now are Nami, Johnny and Yosuku, Chopper, Zala, Yaldino, Marianne, Lasu, Brooke. I think I said Prono was supposed to stay on Dressrosa or go with them, but I'm not sure. But let's say she's on Zou right now. And that's it. I was talking about Ace, Masteus, Izo, all them. Ors is the only one of that group who didn't go straight to Wano. Pause on time, I'm sorry. But yeah, so Ace, Masteus, Izo, and YD Bay straight to Wano. Izo is there to recruit Kiku and the rest of the Scabbards. Ace and Masteus. Also, yeah, also they brought, like, because they're going straight to Wano, they ended up bringing Momonosuke and Kinemon. And Kanjuro, I guess. Kanjuro's probably brought to Zou first to get Raizo, but yeah. But yeah, Izo's going in to recruit the Scabbards. YD Bay's going there to honestly just for the hell of it, honestly. And then Ace and Masteus are going for Yamato. So. Alright. Now, when we came to Jack, on Ace and Masteus' way out on the striker, they saw Jack and literally just like, it says, just literally flicked a ball of fire at him, and then his ship was gone. So yeah, Jack is already handled. But we keep going, and we get to what next? We get to Whole Cake Island. So there's something in the arc. I'm sorry, but they get Carrot and Pedro to get them there. Now, Sanji, by the way, when he came to Beijing, saying, hey, get in my chest, we'll talk there. Sanji says, I will kick your ass in your chest and out here. You just talk to me right here. I don't care. The crew's a lot more open because they have a much stronger emotional bond because of Luffy. So, that does make a few of Beijing's men a bit annoyed, but Sanji will actually use hands for the first time by grabbing them all their face and put them all in just one giant headbutt. That ends this fight. So Beijing just realized he's quickly just outclassed by Sanji, who is a supernova in this verse. So Beijing and Sanji talk on equal terms. They're both supernovas, even though Sanji would kill him in one shot. They talk, and then eventually Sanji would decide to go to Whole Cake. And his captors already know to, like, be nice, or he will, without hesitation, kick you through a wall. So, when it came to Luffy, Reggie doesn't save him. The man's immune to poison by a lot. Magellan helped him with that. But when she realized that, Luffy's like, oh, look, there's a lot of poison. He literally just spit it out, like spit out a purple liquid and said, alright, I'm good now. And she just did a thumbs up. Also came to cooking, Nami can literally just zap it with lightning. It's that easy. She's the one who went to Whole Cake. Yeah, the ones who are on Whole Cake, by the way. Oars is in Wano right now. Actually, no, I'm changing that. Whole Cake. Ancient Giant and Whole Cake would bring chaos. Verona, I did not specify it again. I'm dumb, but she's also in Wano. Brook, Whole Cake, Yokozuna, Wano, Frankie, Wano, Lasu, Wano, Mikita, Whole Cake, Marianne, Whole Cake, Eldino, Wano, Bentham, Wano. And his job is infiltrating Kaido's crew. But Luffy can sense emotion and does not trust Kanjuro, so only people who know the plan are literally the base Straw Hats. The East Blue group are the ones who know the plan. Basically, anyone who joined pre-time skip knows the plan. Actually, Ace is Luffy is making sure that no one new knows it because they might rat it out because they trust Kanjuro fully. Everyone else knows the full depths of Luffy's observation hockey. So yeah. But yeah, so Bentham is his plan is infiltrating Kaido's crew, and basically imitating Jack the entire time. So, and he's stronger than Jack, so that wouldn't be too hard actually. Robin, Wano, Chopper, Whole Cake. I messed that up, but it doesn't matter at this point. John Yosuke, Wano, Gin, Whole Cake, Sanji, Whole Cake, obviously. Usopp, Wano, Nami, Whole Cake, obviously. Zoro, Wano, Luffy, Whole Cake. Now Zoro was told to go to Wano. He chose to stay on Dressrosa because he's by Luffy's high point. 7, Luffy just told him to go to Wano. So that's how John Yosuke went. But the first get to know Sanji's siblings, think about how they know Sanji. Like, oh, what? Just a powerless loser? He's like, powerless? No, he has the whole fire thing going on. And according to Luffy's words, they all realize Sanji was not powerless. He's a late bloomer. The Furrow's rising. Sanji was like them. It just took a long time. So yeah. Soon the Straw Hats like Brook, Nami, and Luffy plus Pedro and Carrot all meet Pudding. What else? Oh yeah, we're gonna go on to the Sweet Commander Cracker, all those fights. Yeah, Luffy, 1, can fight for days. 2, Galaxy Impact. Need I say more? Also, Nami, Lightning, easy. Also, what else? Fucking Gin's here too. The man's almost on par with Sanji. So yeah, I don't see much problems with this. They can handedly beat Cracker in a matter of maybe not even an hour, maybe a few minutes. So yeah. Sanji versus Judge. Judge does not believe what Luffy told his siblings, so when Judge tries to fight Sanji, just grabbed Judge's spear, yanked it from his hands, and threw it at him. So that's the point where Yonji had to jump in and catch it, so their dad didn't get killed by Sanji. So yeah. Plus later on, it came to his brothers disrupting the female waiter. Sanji does have a dispute with them, but this time when he fights them, he beats all of them. Only one he does not touch is Reiju. He beats Yonji, Ichiji, Niji, all of them. So, yeah. Also, when it came to Brûlé, Nami wasn't really in danger for this arc. She literally saw Brûlé and just flicked a lightning bolt at her, and that was the end of the fight. Brûlé is not a durable person. Also, when it came to Sanji saying Luffy, Luffy just told Sanji to join the crew. Sanji said no, but Luffy just told, just like as Sanji got close, Luffy just pretty easily was defending against Sanji's attacks and just told Sanji, we have oars hiding. We're just going to get you out with him. And just nodded, saying, "Alright, fine, got it." So, yeah. For the army that would attack Luffy. Yeah, it's kind of just Luffy and Nami right now, but Luffy has energy to fight for days. I don't know how many times I need to say that. So when it came to this army, even if he gets like injured and tired, which he wouldn't be injured, at least not very injured, a lot of this does not matter. He handedly beats, like Luffy alone could handily beat Big Mom's army. Nami learned how to charge up a Raigo on her own, so it works. So, yeah. So eventually able to defeat the entire army of Big Mom. So it wasn't really a hard fight. She also then smoked her rare collection of creatures, and starts with being oversight. No ancient giants? How boring. Big Mom is a bit annoyed. She says, "Ancient giants? I haven't only met one." Sanji says, "Well, there's one of my crew. Pretty annoying. Smelly. But eats a lot, and I appreciate it." So, yeah. Now, while the rest are on the loose, Brook gets snuck in as Big Mom's more occupied trying to find Luffy and Nami. So, Brook and Dean sneak into her room, or I guess her room for the, pretty sure it's the treasure room. They're sitting on that, or copy poneglyphs, Brook puts it in his head, and then Dean punches his way out of there for Brook. And, worst case scenario, Brook quite literally can just unleash music on Big Mama Shanter. So, yeah. So, when it comes down to Pedro trying to, take out Tamago, we end up seeing, fuck, what was I thinking of? I am trying to figure out who I was thinking of. Shit. Mikita. Yeah, Mikita. Mikita was the one to fight him first, and then began fighting. Tamago tries to, like show off that he's a strong character. Mikita has a pretty good observation weapon to awaken her fruit. She literally just took one step, cracked her arm beneath Tamago, swung her arm down, increased it to like 15,000 kilograms, and another knocked out Tamago in one punch. Pedro happened to arrive on the scene to see Tamago knocked out. Pedro just walked over him, took out a gun, put a clip in his head, kept it moving. Easy as that. So yeah, Pedro isn't dead here. So I should actually write down that he's a crewmate. Pedro. Actually good. So here we go. One arc, striked out. Other arc, striked out. Alright, Pedro. Got it. I wrote Pedro without the R by accident. Okay. Jinbei defeats Oprah, but that was just because Oprah was in his way after he realized the tracks had escaped. So, yeah. Luffy and Sanji never needed to reconcile. Sanji just got away from his siblings for enough time to the point where he saw Oars in the forest, and Oars was literally sitting on Cracker. So with that, Sanji would be carried by Oars, brought out to the ocean, and end up seeing unlike the Mini Mary. But this one is coded, so it can actually sink. That's how they got it in. But then the Mini Mary, the actual one Mary, is just repaired by Frankie. So he sinks the ship, or just dies from the ship, and Sanji eventually is able to get him, able to get Sanji out of the whole cake. Now Oars is kind of just swimming underneath the ship, and pushing it, and it works out. Even if they need a boost, Sanji can just kick the air and create a shockwave to push them forward. Sanji actually is not on whole cake anymore. Oars is with him. When the wedding begins, they realize Sanji is late. They're wondering, where's Sanji? As a disguise, is we end up seeing Luffy walk in, putting make Sanji mask, and reveals Sanji's already off Whole Cake. And he doesn't want to taunt Big Mom more by saying, and our ancient giant escorted him out. You had an ancient giant here the entire time, and could not catch him. Big Mom is mad in two ways now, but immediately Luffy would jump up, yell, Rogan, but he also would infuse his Galaxy Impact into it. So basically do a galactic Rogan. Big Mom is hit by it and sent flying through her entire castle. It doesn't knock her out, but she's definitely, he's definitely not in fighting condition. Through this, we end up seeing Katakuri trying to run in the fight, but immediately he is just met with a gigantic, just lightning trick from Nami. He does Utaki to tank it, but even then, it is exhausting to tank such a large attack. But Nami would tell Ultrat's other allies to escape, and they're doing as told, as Nami begins forming a Raigo. But then she begins compressing it. Already a small ball of lightning, but then she begins compressing it more and more, while still feeding it. She does that, eventually she just tells Straw Hats, she survives this attack, but make sure to give her extra clothes when she's done. As well as escape, Nami ends up kind of clasping her hands together, creating a gigantic blast. And once the blast is done, this basically ends up erasing the entire Big Mom area. So with this, a few people, a lot of people die, but a few survive. None of the Germa all survived. They have a few, along a few Big Mom's kids, but not Big Mom's kid count of 83 goes down to about 70. So. Now, Big Mom does get up, ready to fight again, only to have Mikita drop up right on her head, and now Big Mom's knocked out, fully. Mikita just smiles and waves to everyone, and she just tells them, next time she does that, she's just shake the island. She lifts herself up in the air, and she does it as she promised, shaking the entire island with her drop. Now, eventually we do move on into the Straw Hats leaving. As you're leaving, Luffy had an idea, as he's carrying Chopper. And the Chopper is saying, hey, can you alter the Germa cybernetics? Chopper asked how, and Luffy just said, Sanji's sister is nice, obviously cares about her. What can you do? Now, Sanji was a bit, Chopper was a bit nervous, but he would just nod. So, Chopper's experiments with a lot more stuff, especially with, Frankie. But with this actually led to, it led to Luffy being able to tell Nami he kidnapped Reiju after Nami gets a whole new dress on. And she does it told kidnapping Reiju. Pause. Alright, sorry about that. Now, eventually they're escaping Whole Cake. After, getting Reiju. And on the boat out of there, Jinbei does the whole thing of, saying, oh, he'll stay behind for the Straw Hats. Nami called him stupid for saying that. He's like, why is that stupid? She just says, if you're even a modicum piece of danger, you will not be allowed to leave Luffy's sight. And Jinbei will look up, seeing Luffy staring down at him, as Jinbei was sitting. And somehow, Jinbei's taller than Luffy when he sits, but still, Luffy's staring down at him. We just see from behind Pedro holding up Luffy. But eventually he does lead on to Jinbei not leaving the Straw Hats, but instead, Luffy. Luffy leads on the boat, swimming over to fight Big Mom's crew for them, while the Straw Hats and some pirates get over to Wano. Pause real quick. Okay. Now, Straw Hats bounties are in kind of random order, but kind of in a random order, but I'm gonna go over the ones who were involved in Whole Cake and Dressrosa, and I'll give you their bounties. Luffy, after the events of Dressrosa and Whole Cake, 2.6 billion. Because one, he knocked Big Mom back for a point where she was almost knocked out, and Kita kind of finished it off. I'll get into her bounty later. Orange Jr. for actually holding up Fujitori's group, 1.3 billion. Zoro, 580 million, and for cutting out Pika in one slash. Bentham, 550 million. There's honestly suspect that Bentham is him, in my opinion, and he doesn't get any bad rep. Nami, her bounty mainly came from beating Jola, but also the fact that she was the one, she didn't beat Katakuri, but she basically shone by lightning on him for long enough a point where everyone could escape. So she held back Katakuri. It doesn't make her a relative, but it makes her a threat. Her bounty is 500 million. What else? What a quick, sorry. Alright, sorry. So Nami's 500 million. Nikita, her bounty. Her bounty of making things shake when she lands on them, which can be interpreted in many ways, is underrated, but I also think it'd be kind of just funny for her to be like, I'm a level threat. Why is my bounty not up there? Well, or is it Luffy? Her bounty is about 450 million. Usopp is 400 million, because, well, one, he's a lot stronger than Cannon, but also he played a bigger role in Dressrosa. Actually beating Sugar up close, or at least in an actual fight. Gin 380 million. He beat Lao Ji, I guess. Actually, make sure Lao Ji's bounty isn't that high. Lao Ji. Oh yeah, no, Lao Ji's bounty is not that high. Robin, her bounty is 160 million because she flat out beat Gladys, whatever you want to call him. Bond guy. She actually flat out beat him in a fight and almost killed him. Like, he's on the verge of death 24/7 now to Robin. Frankie beats Pink a lot easier, plus his double fruit and his affinity with it makes it obvious. Plus the fact that he also, well, proves to be a very well-made machine. After Whole Cake. Sanji's bounty is 570 million, 10 million behind Zoro. Jinbei is 450 million, because he's on a much stronger crew, who's also more notorious. And then Pedro's bounty is 400 million. That's it. But now we get on to the Wano arc. Actually, Revelry, if you want to go into that. Now it comes down to Charlos's guard, so to say. Or not Charlos's I guess soldier. When it came to that, I would pretty honestly say that, like, it really goes the same, but now the revolutionaries who are here are much more determined to do their thing, plus also Sabo, who's also a much more emotional person, because of Luffy. He's more involved, he knows Luffy's relationship with certain people. Alright, now we get into Wano. Then, while my parents are calling Marco, so he's here in Wano right now. He's also helping gather the scabbards. We cut on to the first act, where Zoro is cutting down the magistrate. That happens. Zoro in this one is not caught by anyone. In fact, that John and Yosuke are by his side 24/7 point where great Master Zoro. Zoro is a Joshi basically, and John and Yosuke are like his retainers. That's kind of how it goes. They're posing as like a Joshi. The mini Mary is what they call the actual Going Mary now, but that washes up on shore, and it's just the ones who Luffy isn't on it. By the way, Otama has Ace with her, or she's with Ace. No, so yeah, Tengu Yama's doing his own thing on the Maximum, on the Maximum Mary. That's wondering where it is. Docked underwater is a cargo ship. It cannot be noticed. It's not allowed to be noticed. It can be, it's just not allowed to be. Otama's on that exploring, Tengu Yama doing his own thing on there. And eventually, once they got on Yamato, which they did pretty quickly, they just broke her free since Ace used Ryuo. They escaped the Maximum underwater, and now they train there. So they're all kind of training on the Maximum for fun, because the boat is basically indestructible. But what else? We go on to Basil Hawkins, who has to fight Luffy and Zoro canonically. But what it comes down to is just the fact that it's just Zoro. Literally, just let Zoro just stare up at Hawkins, and then the fight just begins. Zoro will unsheath his blade, and in a split second, he can kill Hawkins in one slash. It's a pretty quick fight, honestly. Zoro is much stronger than Hawkins is by a long. Even Hawkins knows, like, he does the tick card reading. What are the chances I make it out of this fight alive? 50-50. What are the chances I win? 1. If Zoro sneezes and you fucking put a straw up his nose and make it explode, killing him. Yeah, there's very low chance. Well, he tries to fight, but he still loses. A Gazelle-man cannot Tama, because Tama is on the maximum Mary. So, yeah. For the sumo thing, that was just left up to, let's say the actual frog, Yokozuna. The frog is like the reigning sumo champ right here, and he's just dominating everyone. So yeah, for Kiku, she's on the scabbards, except for Kanjuro, are all on max. And most rats are on the maximum Mary, except for Zoro, Luffy, Johnny, and Yosuku. Those are the 4 who are not on the maximum Mary. Because Luffy's like whole cake, and then Johnny, Yosuke, and Zoro don't like being trapped and confined. Plus Zoro's kind of aimless without Luffy, so, yeah. Not aimless, but he's sad. Well, and Kanjuro, I guess, but yeah. Hold'em was beaten by Ace a while ago. Like the moment he got there, he beat Hold'em. For the clean food thing, when Sanji got here, he immediately distributed as much food as he could, because the kitchen on the ground maximum Mary can literally fit the size of a small town, probably. Not a small town, but a lot of food regardless. Pause. But yeah, they have enough food to basically feed the entirety of Okobore down with Tama's help. What else? The backstory. Oh, yeah, Kaido going to obliterate Odin Castle. Does not happen. I was like, oh, why is that? Kaido himself cannot find anyone in that castle. Like, no one knows where the strats are. They just know that Yamato's missing, the scabbards are missing, Kanjuro doesn't know where they're hiding, because they all meet at Curry Castle, not Curry Castle, at Odin Castle, then leave. Kanjuro to follow them. Luffy's obvious distrust of Kanjuro extends into the Straw Hats, who extended it into the scabbards. Or like, Luffy's an honorable person. I'm like, Luffy's an honorable guy. If he doesn't trust Kanjuro, we can't help that. And this is his boat. We need to like respect it. For all Kanjuro knows is it's docked somewhere on one of the beaches, but that's it. That's all he knows. And even if they patrol the beaches, their men are knocked out pretty quickly, or Tama feeds them, they're brainwashed, they leave. Or Marianne pinks them and they leave. So Kaido never fights anyone here. Even if he were to, probably like someone like Zoro, and even then it'd probably be a much better fight than what Luffy gave Kaido. So this Zoro is the strongest he is on Onigashima. So yeah. So yeah, now Kid is imprisoned here, and Law very well knows that, and like Zoro's like, you can probably handle the straw. It's not handle the beast pirates, so you could probably use extra help. Law would train with Zoro a little bit, as Zoro just like occasionally goes by to get food, something like that, if he doesn't have money. Zoro trained Law a little bit. Now Law basically sneaks into prison and finds Kid's cell, stabs the lock with just hockey, frees Kid. That's about Killer, and it was revealed that Zoro beat Killer a while ago. Like Killer attacked him because Zoro's strong like a wandering Joshi who cuts down everyone in his path, who his henchmen do. So Killer was one of those men who got cut down, but he's alive. He's just very badly injured. Inuarashi and Nekomamushi, they're on their way to Wano right now to go join the Riots. So, yeah. What else? Oh yeah. So, for the whole thing with Komurasaki at Oroshi's castle, Denjiro goes there to keep up his appearance as, you know, a Yakuza who works under Orochi. But Zoro would also attend as a Joshi. No one would doubt him. No one does. He's too powerful. But Zoro and Kyoshiro / Denjiro know each other. So they're both just not in Thailand, and Orochi's like, Kyoshiro, you know him? Kyoshiro's like, yes, he's a Joshi. I trained him. A lie, but yeah. So, even if Zoro isn't a Joshi, he is still a student of Denjiro. Or Kyoshiro. So, yeah. So it came down to Orochi trying to attack Komurasaki. Kyoshiro doesn't cut him doesn't cut Hiyori down, quote unquote. But instead, he actually just tells Orochi that Zoro will handle her. And they do just that as, they take her outside, and Zoro will knock her out, and they escape. And they end up basically, as they get outside, Brook would use his ghost version to pretend to be the ghost of Hiyori with her body buried, saying, "Lord Orochi, I will now forever haunt you for ending my existence." So shit like that. So now Orochi thinks he's cursed. So, yeah. Meanwhile, Otoko and Komonosaki I honestly forgot her actual name. Hiyori and Komonosaki are taken to the Maximum Mary. When it came down to Sanji versus Page 1, when Sanji was just handing out soba, Page 1 ended up having to fight him. Sanji quickly looked at Page 1, jumped and kicked him through a building. That was the end of the fight right then and there. Sanji just jumped, quick kick, end of the fight. Page 1 didn't have a chance to memorize his face. And then it came down to, I think Drake was here too. But Drake may have fought someone else. Even if he did fight Sanji can also just one tap him too. He knows who Sanji is. It's very obvious. Unless he's wearing a raid suit and he's known as Vin Smoke Sanji. Yeah. It came down to Tonoyasu. Zoro knows who he is. The Scabbards told him who he was when Zoro mentioned this guy one time while he stopped by to get food. So when Zoro and him reunited at one point, Tonoyasu told him, "Oh yeah, you're friends with Odin. We have the Scabbards on board my ship, and we have this girl named Otoko. And do you know her?" Tonoyasu just dropped his goofy facade. It's bring me to your boat. I want my kid. So Tonoyasu was allowed to go to the ship. All that. Actually, Tonoyasu's name is not Tonoyasu, I believe. Yeah, it's Yasu. Or Yasuye, but Yasu. So Yasu is brought to the ship. He does the act, and he's allowed to start training again to get back into his prime condition. So yeah. So Kid and Law has the prison. Now Kid and Law are kind of digging up info to find Killer. For Big Mom. I forget this. Chopper would not care for her because Luffy still isn't in Wano yet, and Chopper watched Luffy jump off the boat to go fight Big Mom. He thinks Big Mom found a way to kill Luffy. He knows it's outlandish. Once he's Big Mom, he simply just tells Momonosuke everything. No one knows why Luffy isn't here. Oh yeah, Luffy went to go do something else. Ace knows something's up, he's not saying it. But, Chopper is still kind of naive, so he simply tells Momonosuke, if she's here, Luffy might be dead. So out of pure anger, they abandon Big Mom. And eventually they lead to kind of finding her at some point, but yeah. For the prison, they decided to have a prison break. They probably have the bunk. They walk down the tries Jack, and then actually no, probably couldn't because the blows cover because Jack wouldn't free everyone. I mean, how do this giant wax thing that frees the guards in place? When it comes up and be cut down by Law or Zoro, and then they free the prisoners. Even if they cover in wax, they bring them there. But no matter most of the wax, all that. Eventually, they do end up finding Killer. It did take a while, but they found him. They bring him in, and he's not treated for a smile. But they're actually able to Chopper's trying to work on a cure using Luffy's blood, but they're running out, so they actually need Luffy to come back quickly to make a cure for the smile fruit. What else? Yasu does not die. I will not allow that to happen. So, yeah, Yasu's fine. They eventually do, when it comes down to all the allies, for the Samurai Ninja Mink Alliance are all on the Maximum Mary. They're all there. So they're wondering if Frankie did any improvements on it. You're damn right he did. Make it eat sea stone now. And make it better. He did. He has spare atom wood left. He's making sea stone with atom wood. The boat is basically... Frankie's tech is on par with Vegapunk's at this point. And just because he can eat it, rework it into his own way, so he perfectly understands it. So now the maximum Mary is a lot bigger. And due to Sea Stone, the point where Delphi ability is no longer effective, the ship is now going from 1,500 feet to about 4,000 feet long. As Frank keeps adding on to it because he can add on an additional 200 feet in a day. So yeah, Frankie is making the ship huge. He also built the Thousand Sunny in his spare time. So, yeah. What else? They have Kaido and Big Mom, they have their alliance, they clash, all that. And for the raid, on Onigashima, Frankie built a ton of ships first. Like he built like more Frankie ships or more like Frankie vessels. He built all those things. Like, oh yeah, we have a lot of boats. And he's like, oh, here's all these boats in the maximum area if you guys want to use them. Give them back to me when you're done, but you can use them for now. Let's fire a cannon to light. He just thumbs up with like a dopey grin. With that, pause. Holy shit, this is 3 hours. For me, it's been like 5. When I took a break at the 1 hour 27 minute mark, I was gone for like 2 hours. But they're eventually able to use Frankie's extra boats, and we also have like Kawamatsu finding the weapons that Orochi had. Not Orochi, Onimaru collected. They have a lot of stuff happening. And Zoro does get Enma, but Enma tries to use Haki. Zoro's conquerors that he already has control of. He's as strong as Onigashima Zoro. Enma didn't even try to take his Haki. Enma just can feel Zoro's conquerors, and Zoro's fine. So, yeah. We're gonna take a break and go to Reverie. At Reverie, it came down to like the idea of the abolishment of the 7 warlords. They also talked about Luffy, because Cobra and King Riku saw firsthand Luffy's healing factor. When, like, by the way, weren't a lot of warlords defeated by Fujishin, Mugiwara, no Luffy, or unkillable Straw Hat Luffy. Weren't a lot of warlords killed by them. Not killed, but beaten by him. He was talking about how Moria suffered an utterly crushing defeat against him. Honestly, this is just King Riku and Cobra wanting to brag about Luffy being their ally in front of the other kingdoms. It's like, hey, that's the brother of Sabo and Fire Fist Ace. So with this, it does lead to Luffy actually getting a bounty increase off of all the kingdoms agreeing, like, we've never heard of this man named before. He almost killed Moria? He's a warlord. Miyako that actually was strong. Miyako's a warlord. They're kind of just terrified. But yeah. Eventually Scabbers get to, I think it was Tokage Port. With the Odin flashback. Oh yeah. When it came down to Kanjuro revealing himself as like Orochi's spy, and he tries to kidnap Momonosuke. When I'm sitting from underwater, his boat is stopped. They don't know from what, but then Luffy would emerge, and he would just grab Kanjuro, throw him in the water, and then Kanjuro drowns. He can't swim, he's a Delphi user. Luffy doesn't even say hi, he gives the crew a thumbs up, and then just chucks Momonosuke back to shore. The crew's all happy to see Luffy, as they said, "Oh, Big Mom, shut up, we thought she killed you." It's like, you thought I died? He gave him a look of like, you fucking stupid? And me? Die? Who do you think I am? Who do you think I am? Zoro? Yeah, he thought they were idiots for thinking he died. So yeah. Now Chopper would actually beg Luffy for a bit of his blood. He says he's on the verge of finding a cure for the smiles. Luffy says, sure. He asks Chopper how much he needs. Chopper says, a lot. Luffy just tearing off his arm, handing it to Chopper, saying, do your work. Chopper takes the arm, Luffy grows a new one, and then, yeah. And Kid is actually the first time seeing Luffy's immortality up close. So, yeah. I'm gonna make a list of fights, so here we go. Pause. Okay, here are the fights. So, obviously one would be Luffy versus Kaido, but I'm including Ace in this fight. So Luffy and Ace versus Kaido. Long Kid versus Big Mom. Zoro versus King. Sanji versus Queen. Robin versus Black Maria. Jinbei versus Who's Who. Frankie versus Sasaki. Denjiro versus Orochi. Killer versus Hawkins. Izo, Kiku, and Wadibe versus CP0. Zala versus Page 1. Yamato v Ulti. The 6 Scabbards remaining versus Oniwabanshu. Who Force Jr. versus the Numbers. Brook, Perona, Masdeuce, Gin, and the remainder of the crew versus the Marines. And Galdino is fighting all the fodder. Upstairs, that is. And Chopper, too. Lawsuit's kind of just on Galdino's back, firing anyone behind him. Like, he's one of those baby carriers, and they're not just open firing cannonballs that are kind of made of light sometimes. So, yeah. But, we move forward and we get into, these fights. So, Luffy and Ace versus Kaido. Ace had Weakness Fruit as well. Flare's flames are all shades of colors. Its most powerful being a culmination of all colors, being a rainbow. And then Luffy is basically just a master of all forms of hockey, plus he's basically Garp, but short. Well, not short, but shorter than Garp. So this fight goes on, and as it begins, it basically starts on the roof with Big Mom there too. But Law and Kid already had the plan. Like Luffy doesn't have a plan, but he just suggests like, why don't just two of us take a Yonko? We're all pretty damn strong. Plus I'm already a Yonko. So they'll agree. So Kid and Law go to the roof to fight Big Mom with Luffy and Ace. Everyone else goes downstairs to pick their opponents. So yeah. So with this, Luffy and Ace and fighting Kaido, and it's a pretty, not one-sided fight, but Luffy and Ace have superior hockey than current Kaido right now. They both do. Advanced Probation, Advanced Armament, Advanced Conquerors, you name it, they both have it. But eventually Luffy does decide to, they're not decide, but Kaido eventually tries to go all out, even in his magma-covered dragon form. But Luffy would jump up, slamming his fist up, going in for Galaxy Impact, or probably Galaxy Divider. That's a more accurate attack. Plus, it's actually like you can probably use it with a Rankyaku kick. Rankyaku is basically the air blade with the kick. So yeah, he uses it with that, and then Ace would then use all his lightning, pressing into with one small ball and flicking it right at Kaido, kind of like a hollow purple. But a hollow purple could evaporate entire islands in one just. Like when it lands on something. So yeah. Luffy and Ace's attack, slamming to Kaido, and Kaido would have the explosion hit him. And the hit basically clear all the clouds, allowing all the villagers of Wano to see what's happening on Onigashima. But before Luffy and Ace beat Kaido, we have Big Mom versus Law and Kid. Law is a bit stronger, having superior control over his armament hockey and his elevators awakened earlier on, because he trained earlier on. And Kid is the same thing. His fruit already awakened and he trained it earlier on. So they both have an understanding of how to use their awakenings. In this fight, Kid actually carrying. He has the most AP output and all of that. Plus he has probably advanced conquerors too. So he should pretty easily penetrate Big Mom a lot earlier. Law just deals the finishing blow by cutting her in half, and then taking her lower upper half out of Onigashima, which does kill her. The lower half just collapses, and then that's the end of the fight. What else? Oh yeah, Sanji vs. Queen. Not Sanji vs. Queen. Zoro vs. King is first. When it comes to Zoro vs. Queen, I mean that fight started almost immediately when they saw each other. When the fight starts, it's honestly them going trading blows basically. But eventually, he does end up with the defeat of King overall, regardless. But Zoro is stronger than he is in the beginning of that part. He's stronger than canon, which allows Zoro to beat King pretty handedly. So yeah. So he handedly beats King. Then for Sanji versus Queen. Sanji had already established control over his Germa abilities. Plus, he actually still does use a raid suit. So with this, those those things in mind, he's pretty easily able to beat Queen. It wasn't really a difficult fight. Probably about 3-4 kicks infused with Ryo, and that ends the fight. So, yeah. Robin versus Black Maria. Robin, master of efficient karate, pretty good user of 2 forms of hockey. Black Maria loses that fight quickly, like almost as soon as it starts, she loses it. The one that Sanji yelled for Robin, she lost the fight. That easy. What else? Wait, pause. Sorry about that. But, yeah, so Robin's fight ended pretty quickly. Jinbei versus who? There's honestly just not much changes, but the fact that, the Strats train 24/7, they're both able to use, relatively decent hockey, but Jinbei is better by a long shot. Allows Jinbei to, handily beat Who's Who much earlier than canon and easier. So, yeah. But then we move on, and we go on to the next fight with Frankie versus Sasuke. That is Sasuke's worst nightmare. Frankie demolishes him in a matter of minutes, at about 5 maximum. It was a quick and short-lived fight. Frankie uses hockey, Sasuke struggles to even try. Yeah, anything that Sasuke can usually do, Frankie is just better at it, or can just counter instantly. So with this, it leads to the demise of Sasuke. What else? Next fight is Denjiro versus Orochi. This was not a how to phrase this. Orochi blinks and he dies. That's basically it. He blinks and he dies. Then Killer vs. Hawkins, kind of just the same thing, but, that Killer threatened Kid. The fight didn't end well. Then Izo, Kiku, and Wadi-Bay versus CP0. CP0 just covered them in snow and held them in place, and that ended up covered them in snow, ended up freezing them a bit. And then Izo and Kiku both jump in with their own attacks. Izo using hockey-infused bullets, and then Kiku using a hockey-infused sword. Those two things combined, and in the demise of CP0. Keep in mind, CP0 has the original 5.9 group, but Blueno's dead, joining in those who killed him a while ago. Now, 3 members have just died, but, What else? Zolver's page 1. She literally just infused hockey into her spikes. She just created created spikes on the ground, and killed page on his feet, and they shot them forward even harder using hockey, and ended up not killing him, but he's definitely too bloody, or he's losing too much blood to fight. So that ends the fight right then and there. Yamato versus Ulti. Not much said. The 6 Scabbards versus the Oni Wabanshu, or 5 Scabbards, because Nakamushi is fighting Pero. That goes the same as canon. But running 5 Scabbards versus the Oni Wabanshu, pretty handed fight. And anyone needs help, the one who will win all the fights, Kinemon will jump in. That easy. Ors fights the numbers by basically just grabbing them all, throwing them around, putting them in holds, choking them, killing them, all that. Ors, it makes a massacre, it makes a bloody scene. Then Brook, Perona, Mass Deuce, Geen, and other characters, they basically jump off of off of Onigashima, landing down on Zunisha, who then use Zunisha's trunk as a slide to get down to fight against the Marines. So, pause. Alright, sorry about that. But then sliding down Zunisha's trunk, going down to fight Marines, and actually see Lucci down here. But Brook also does release a single song of Ta Musica and just wipes out the entirety of the group. So that kind of just ends the fight with Team and Lucci. As Brook is one of our members of the crew just because of the fact he has Ta Musica sealed in his sword. So yeah. What else? We go on to Galdino, which is kind of just a lot of fodder. So the fodder that he go into are probably characters I have a list of Kaido's crew. Probably the waiters, the pleasures, the gifters, all of them, and not all Shinichi, but he's basically able to use his wax ability to hold and freeze the pause. So Galdino kind of uses his wax cake to just freeze them all in place and hold them down. And then by the time it leads to Onigashima crashing down, it was kind of just not but the end of the what was it? Fucking I don't tip my tongue. This is the end of Onigashima. After that, we go on into post Onigashima, and with that, it's basically I'm scrolling down to find it. I can't memorize it, so I have to pull up the arc for it. Oh yeah, actually, I should go into the bounties. So hold up. All right. So the bounties post Wano. Luffy for 4.4 billion. I think that's a given. Then for Ace is who's directly behind him, 3.2 billion. Then Oars, who's behind that, at 1.8 billion. Then Zoro and Sanji, 1.3 billion. They share that. Bentham and Gin share one as well at 1.2 billion. Izo would be just below them, but Izo retired from crew, joining the Scabbards. But Wadi Bay goes and take his place with a bounty of 1.15 billion. And just below that is Jinbei with 1.1 billion. Robin with 1.08 billion, just above Katakuri. And then Mass Deuce is at 990 million, so just below, he's the barrier to get into the top group. As anyone below him, he can actually beat in a fight, aside from Brook. If Brook's the only one below him, he can't beat in a fight. Maybe Mikita, and that's because she's underrated for this crew. Usopp, 800 million. Luck. Nami, 795 million. Massachusetts Hockey is the only thing saving him from her. Brook is 700 million. That's basically his control over top Musica. And a few of the Marines recognized him using its music. Frankie, 680 million. That's like he basically has Seastone weaponry now. Zala, 678 million, just below Frankie. Mikita, 590 million. Galdino, 545 million. Ranyosuke, 540 million combined. And 390 million for Perona. So, hold up real quick, sorry, one more time. Alright, so the crew's combined bounty would be 24 billion, 78 million. That's their combined total. So, yeah. Plus, in terms of hockey, Luffy knows all three advanced forms. Ace knows all three advanced forms, plus he awakens level 3, which is going to go to Luffy. I'm back to Luffy. So, Luffy knows all three advanced forms. His immortality is now much stronger than before, as he had almost died feeling to Kaido, how hard Kaido was hitting him with Thunder Bagua. But he learned to heal from that. So Luffy has a whole tier of immortality, plus a few other things, but 33 tiers of completely mastered Haki, plus he has the same arsenal as Garp. And he has complete mastery over the 6 powers. For Ace, he has complete mastery over Devil Fruit, even awakening it, complete control of the mastery as well, but also 3 forms of advanced Haki. Oars, 2 forms of advanced Haki, probably 1 form of advanced Haki, but then on top of having ancient giant DNA, being one is probably warranted for a bounty enough. For Sanji, I don't need to explain. Bentham and Gin, I don't think I need to explain either, but Gin's overall skill, that's insane. So Sanji, they're powerful. Zoro has 3 forms of advanced Haki, Sanji has Derma and 2 forms of advanced Haki. Bentham and Gin both have 2 forms of advanced Haki, and their skill are top of the line for the crew. Only Gin has the most skill on the crew, actually. Whitey Bay, 2 forms of advanced Haki, and a complete mastery over the base form of Monet's Snow Shrews. Jinbei, 2 forms, probably one form of advanced Haki. Mass Deuce, 2 forms of advanced Haki. It's just the fact that Jinbei has far better skill combined with his Ryuo. Usopp, he has great advanced observation Haki. But there are 2 people better than him on the crew now, or actually 3, being Luffy, Ace, and Sanji. Plus his aim is also top of the line. And then Nami has great control over Gogoro no Mi. And then, well, also just more than that, but still. Brook has control over all Ta. Music on top of learning advanced observation, not advanced observation, but advanced observation, but also great armament Haki as well. Then Frankie, Zala, Mikita, Galino, Johnny Yosuke, they all learned the base 2 forms of Haki, and Perona doesn't know Haki, but she had awakened her Devil Fruit. Well, yeah, that's the entirety of the Straw Hat crew and their abilities. In fact, they actually could probably rival Shanks' crew. For, like, their crew is basically Shanks' crew is notorious for the fact that they have the highest overall bounty, or the most consistent. They could go to the Straw Hat at this point. Also, I forgot Chopper. I completely realized I forgot Chopper. His bounty is 22 million. The fact that he's basically curing every disease that he could, also almost every disease in one, by using Luffy's blood, which will grant temporary immortality in certain stages. Not immortality, but a temporary, it basically produces, Luffy's blood will produce a cure in your body, then the disease leaves you, then the medicine wears off. And all it leaves behind is the fact that it leaves behind, like, antibodies, so your body's more resistant to the disease you had before. So, yeah. Then we have Yokozuna at 15 million and Lasu at 400,000. With that, those overall bounties bring the crew to 24 billion, 115 million, 400,000 berries. That's the overall bounty. So yeah. But with this, I can basically confidently say the crew can probably run through everything else they need to. Because, well, Chopper basically mastered all of his forms, but Chopper and Perona are only 2 members of the crew. Like, Perona, Chopper, Yokozuna, and Lasu are only 4 who can't use Haki. But Frankie kind of also instilled, like, the base blueprints for a pacifista in Lasu. So Lasu basically has the same AP and stuff as a pacifista, just like he looks like a dog. So yeah. But wait, pause. Sorry. All right, sorry. So I can say the next one, even if it's just Elbaf, not left, I mean Egghead. The crew's overall ability, Luffy fights on the same tier as Garp, if not higher. So when it comes to Egghead, well, one, Lucci will be knocked out in 1 punch, I can say that confidently. But also, every fight they have, they can run through quickly. Plus the fact that Luffy's observation is now extending the point where he can kind of just assign auras to anyone he wants to, and he can see their aura and how it changes. We can be like, oh yeah, who's the traitor? York, immediately. He singled her out. He knows who it is. So the arc is either shorter, or actually no, it's shorter overall no matter what. Because they're all stronger, plus Luffy can also find out who the traitor is pretty quickly on. The only thing that would be hard about this arc is the, I should add Kuma as a crewmate. But let's get through Wano as no one new joins in Wano. Kuma, Bonnie. But I can see more survivors coming from Egghead, to be honest. Because when it came down to facing, like, oh, who's Kizaru? It's a hard fight, sure. Let Ace do it. Ace is easily able to intend an Admiral at this point. Let Luffy fight whoever he wants to. When it comes to, like, oh, who's fight the Admiral? Literally, you can go from Ace, Oars, Zoro, Sanji, Bentham, Ginny, Waiwaribe. Any of those 7 can hold off an Admiral. Or Nami. Let her touch up Arigo in the Maximum Mary. She'll wipe out. She can pull an emu and turn the island to just a crater in the ocean. We can just do that now with the Magnum. She basically has the same power as whatever the Mother Flame goes into. Like, Nami is her own personal Uranus. And their ship is kind of their own version of... Yeah, basically they have every ancient weapon but Shirahoshi. And they're all kind of self-made. Like, Nami is basically their own Uranus. And then, yeah. But, yeah, so... Egghead is a pretty... It's a pretty short arc for the Straw Hats. Fight Kizaru. Oh, literally just Ace. Go fight him. The Gorosei. Yeah, Kizaru is probably beaten by now. Let Luffy and Ace and one of those other tribes handle that fight. And there's really no one who can really contend them post-Egghead. Their bounties, if anything, would shoot up even higher to be on, like... there's only 3 people who have a higher bounty, probably 4, have a higher bounty than Luffy at this point in the story. So 5 people would have had a higher bounty than Luffy in history. An obvious one, Dragon and Roger. Those are the first 2 obvious ones. You guys forgot? Well, Whitebeard, his bounty is probably higher. Kaido, barely higher than Luffy's bounty. And then we have Rock and Zedek probably having a higher bounty than Luffy. So, those are only 5 people who beat Luffy's bounty. Also, if you also want to talk about other people who are wondering Luffy's bounty, and wondering but acknowledging it, Buggy and Crocodile and Mihawk are all just baffled by the crew's bounties at this point. Even Mihawk admits, like, if Luffy's bounty holds up to how strong he is, he'd probably beat most people in this world. So I already knows that Luffy's probably the strongest emperor at this point, aside from maybe Teach, but even then, Teach even fears Luffy's bounty. So yeah. But we end this here. As you guys are curious about, like, oh, what about Egghead? What about, like you're curious about more detail on Egghead? Sure, I'll do that later. Or if you're just curious about Elbaf or any arc after that, once it comes out, I'll gladly go into detail if you guys ask for it. But for now, we're going to end this here. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe for more. Adios.